What's up, everybody? We're finally back after a very long hiatus.
Hey.
We had two weddings, back-to-back months,
Yay.
October and November. Ryan
I think
and
I've
Sabrina first.
I've worked 3 jobs since then.
Yeah.
I moved.
Just a whole lot. Yeah, a whole lot happened. I got married in November, and we're back with this mega episode. It's gonna be a long one, so buckle up your seatbelts, everybody, because we got a lot of Marvel, got a lot of stuff to talk about. So thank you all for joining us. I'm Johnny, the host, and Ryan. How are you doing today?
You know, I'm all right. I'm doing pretty good.
Right on. Zack, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here. Excited to be back.
Work's probably killing you right now.
Work is an agony every day, but
yeah,
you know what? We get through it.
Yeah.
Almost over.
And Daniel, how are you?
What's up? I'm doing good. I'm glad to be back. I have so many things I want to talk about, and I'm very excited. I feel like people have been missing their daily dose of me complaining about things, and I'm here to fulfill that for you.
I often say
Right on.
that.
I love it. I love it. Well, like I said, we've been on a big hiatus. We're here, better than ever. We got a lot of stuff to cover, and just so everybody knows, we, due to our busy schedules, are going to make the decision to do these podcast episodes when this kind of stuff happens, where there's a lot of stuff that we want to talk about, and we just want to do everything in one podcast episode. So just keep looking towards our podcast and all that stuff, our YouTube, just for whenever we release an episode. I'll make sure to post any good posts on social media and stuff like that so that everybody knows when it's coming. But anyways, stay tuned.
Keep an eye on your newsfeed.
Announcements. We want to thank our patrons on Patreon, Jack, Steven, Heather, and Kristen. Thank you all for being here since pretty much the beginning. And also, this month, on our Twitch, we're going to be playing How the Lich Stole Christmas for our one-shot of the month. It's going to be on December 27th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. It's going to be a great holiday episode. We're going to be doing a charity stream where we're going to be supporting American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. We're hoping to raise at least $500. That's our goal, and we're also going to be having a lot of cool giveaways, so please join us for that, including a nice pair of metal dice. So if you want to try and win that, go ahead and join us. It's going to be great. And yeah, that's pretty much all that I can think of for announcements. So let's just fucking jump in there, yeah? First on the order of stuff is Marvel content. Mainly, I guess, should we go in the order of what was released? I think that would be only fair. Do you guys want to talk about What If at all? I know that we didn't really cover the last few episodes of What If, and I know that it ended in a pretty interesting way, so...
I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
Pretty
much.
good.
Yeah.
I think
thought it was fine.
Fine is
Daniel?
fine to me is exactly what it was. I think that's the best. You know, I think for me, one of the biggest problems that I've had, and I think that the fandom as a whole has had, is that we create such amazing stories in our heads that when we finally see what's put in front of us, sometimes it can be a little disappointing. And What If, to me, is kind of like the crown jewel of that, where like, I really thought they were going to go completely off the rails. And of the, what was it, 9 episodes?
9
episodes?
Yeah, whatever it is.
I thought that there were 3 that like were great.
Mm-hmm.
And besides that, like, I could like really leave the rest of them. And I think that probably the biggest part of that for me, like I thought the penultimate episode was one of the best ones of the whole season. Where we get to see Ultron get the stones and wreck shit. And then it was the episode after that where, you know, the Avengers from across all these universes put him in his place. That I could have kind of done without. And I think that the biggest example of that is, like, there was a character that just showed up out of nowhere. Like, Gamora, there wasn't even a Gamora episode. It got pushed into season 2 because of time or COVID or scheduling, whatever. but like there's a whole character that like we don't have any
What was the what if
association
that they
with.
were going to be doing with Gamora?
Who knows? I would think,
think
what if
she was,
Gamora
like-
was Thanos or one of
was
the
Thanos.
Infinity Stones or something?
Oh,
Because she had that
Interesting.
Infinity Stone Crusher MacGuffin that we weren't
Mhm.
introduced to that didn't work in the finale, so like it seemed kind of pointless. But, you know, so yeah, I thought it was fine.
I think
What were
that
your 3 episodes that you did like?
The 3 episodes I did like was what if Black
Ultron
Panther
won.
was Star-Lord?
Mm-hmm.
Good one. Probably
Oh.
the best one.
You know,
Yeah.
what if Doctor Strange lost his heart?
Also good.
mhm.
And what if Ultron
Won.
had the Infinity Gauntlet? What if Ultron won? Yeah, there you go.
I would agree with all
Those are the
that.
best 3.
I also really liked the what if the Avengers died one.
That one had a good mystery
that one
to
really
it, but
stood
it's-
out to me.
But to me, that one was, I always could forget that one. Like, not purposely. I remember talking to you about it when we were talking about What If at one point. And I just totally forgot that episode existed.
Yeah, it stands out to me because like on paper it sounded really boring when I like read the episode description, and then I watched it and it was executed quite well. So I was like, oh, that was actually really good.
You know which one was boring? Was What If Thor was an only child? That one was
Yeah, that
That's
was-
the one I
was a-
skipped. Didn't
that
even
was a-
watch that one at all.
big fucking snooze.
Wow.
I thought it was kind of funny, but like it wasn't funny enough to be like this was worth the watch. It was just very okay. It was very okay. But yeah, no, I agree. I think that
It's a
I think
mixed
that
bag for the whole
I think,
series.
Daniel, what you were saying is that like when we come up with these crazy things and then have it in front of us, it's just like, all right, well, whatever. But I think more so, it's not so much that, because they could have made the zombies one so much cooler. I think the issue with it is that it was such a short episode that they had to just flash you with, this is what's happening, and now we're done. Cool. And so
And
it was just
the-
very like,
yeah.
that
See, I think
was
Where they're
not.
correcting with that, though, is since they did announce, since the shows came out, that they are doing a full-on Marvel Zombie show now. So that will
That's
be corrected
awesome.
then. I don't know if they were doing live action for that or if they were doing animated still. But I imagine, it's
imagine
probably going to be
animated.
animated because,
Yeah.
Yeah.
especially if
That'd
they're
be
doing the
very
MCU
tough.
likeness, they're not going to. They'd have to recast people. They're not going to
Yeah.
get everybody together in a
Yeah.
televised show.
There's no way. Especially if they're trying to keep like Iron Man and all of them,
Yeah.
Steve Rogers in there, there's no way they would be able to do that. I
Yeah.
mean,
And I also want to make it clear, like, us putting energy into our own, like, things about the way it should be, that's totally on me. Like, that is not Marvel's fault for not giving
no.
me
You can't
exactly what I
animated
wanted.
show.
Like, that's me being kind of like a whiny fan. And at the same time, like, when there is source material for Marvel Zombies, it's hard not to be like, this could be so much cooler. They could go so
Right.
much further with this. I
Right.
mean, you even just look at something like Loki. Like, they know what we want to see. They know how they can stretch these characters and give us something new. And it just felt like they were playing it a little bit safe.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think they really screwed themselves over when they made the constraint of under 30 minutes or whatever. I don't even know what the longest
they
one-
were. They were
I
under
think
30
when
minutes, pretty much.
When they did that, that's what the issue was, is that you can't go off on this large branch with 30 minutes. You just don't get enough content to make it worth it. I think that's
Unless you make
what-
one whole season a whole What If, which
Right.
Sure.
could be interesting.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, you rolled. That's a way bigger risk, because what if is just not something that a lot
What
of
if
people are
Thor is
into.
an only child
Yeah.
for 9 episodes?
Right, exactly. Yeah, that
No
could
one
be
can watch that.
that
Yeah.
could be the problem.
Even just this whole show was a big gamble for them too, I imagine. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I like how, there's been a lot of work that's gone in. The thing that I thought, that I appreciated the most about it is that there was a lot of work that's been going into the Marvel Universe in the last year, and even a little bit before then, to just seed the idea of the multiverse in our heads.
God,
That,
I'm so
Just to
excited.
keep chiseling in this idea that this is the multiverse, this is how it works, this is how, wild and crazy it can get. Like, anything's possible in the multiverse. And that's just kind of been this recurring theme for a couple of years now, which from that perspective, I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we're good on that. Let's talk about.
Oh
the-
wait, last thing I did want to say:
Yeah.
don't ever complain, or it's It's our God-given right to whine about shit as
Yeah.
fans, so don't
Yeah.
ever take that away.
No, I just want to make it clear that
Sure.
I'm not blaming Marvel for
Sure.
any of those shortcomings.
I
Yeah.
love
I'm not
whining
going to
about shit.
apologize
Yeah.
for being critical, but I understand
Yeah.
that's on me. Like I'm
Right.
bringing that to
Yeah,
the table.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just my opinion, bro.
Yeah, basically. Eternals, I think, is the next on the line, right?
Shang-Chi, actually.
Oh,
yes,
Shang-Chi. No, we
Shang-Chi.
talked about Shang-Chi.
No, we
I
did
thought.
a while
Did
because
we?
that was
It was a while
September.
ago.
Oh, I guess
Well,
we
that
did.
was
so.
I guess
Yeah,
we
that was
did.
Time is a
September.
blur. Who the fuck?
Yeah,
I
knows?
know,
yeah.
I know.
It's
I think
the
we talked
last
about
like
it.
quarter
About
of
it.
this year.
Real quick, great movie.
Great
Good
movie.
Shang-Chi movie.
It was a great fucking
Recommended.
movie.
Love
It was
it.
so good. Go fucking
Super
watch
good.
it. Like, anyways.
It's on Disney
so-
Plus. You have no excuse now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Eternals.
What's Eternals like?
I think the only two out of us four that watched it is me and Ryan.
That is
And do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I do plan on watching it, so don't spoil everything.
Sure,
but you
sure,
can talk-
sure.
You can talk
I
about
don't
stuff.
think I do.
Oh yeah, let me
will-
let me go ahead and take a quick disclaimer. I think What If was kind of safe because it's been so fucking long since then, and if you haven't seen it, like, that's on you. But going forward, we are going to have a light spoiler talk on Eternals, Hawkeye, and Spider-Man. Just so you know, these are going to be no spoilers. At the end of the episode, if you want to listen to our full spoiler talk, go ahead and check that out. It's going to be great. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of the multiverse and everything. So,
We're gonna
but
agree with
for
all
now,
of your opinions.
Yes.
Go on.
So no spoilers for Eternals. I liked it more than I liked Black Widow.
Low bar, but okay.
It's an important thing to say because
Sure.
Johnny disagrees with me. So
Interesting.
I liked it more than Black Widow, less than Shang-Chi, and definitely far less than Spider-Man because Spider-Man is
Well, yeah,
definitely a
that's
top
not
tier right
fair.
now. Then yeah. It had some really cool things in it. I don't think it's not a spoiler to say it has, the first deaf character in a Marvel property, not property, but like, in a film / television thing that
Yeah.
they've done. The second character, which goes into the no spoiler territory for Hawkeye, is that show also has a deaf person that does sign language and stuff like that in that movie, which is really cool. So it's cool that they're doing this. Here's where it could be a controversial opinion is Eternals was a better Justice League movie than Justice League.
Oh,
All right,
shit.
okay, so you want to throw down right now. Okay, I see how it is. You're just
Wait, we
trying
talking-
to
we
fucking
talking
instigate
Snyder
me,
Cut?
even though I
Oh,
haven't seen it in Eternals.
I'm not talking Snyder Cut. I'm talking about just the flat Justice League. But
Oh,
the
okay.
thing,
Well,
the
I
thing
mean,
that
that's
Justice League,
also a low bar.
Sure, Daniel. No, Daniel. The reason I say that is to make you more inclined to watch it because the reason I say that is Justice League tried to handle introducing half of the cast, kind of, and even with the Snyder Cut, they spent so much time on it, and you didn't. Not that you didn't care for any of the characters, because I mean, there's some characters you definitely care for, especially with the Snyder Cut, but the way that the Eternals brought together 10 different characters that basically had the same kind of power set as the Justice League, they did it way more naturally. It's hard to say it, but they did it in a more natural way.
The only reason why I think that is because that they were all together to start with.
Sure.
They were all together to start with.
That is
which
fair.
made it a lot easier to introduce each of them on their own branch because they're all together. I mean,
I think you're 100% right on that. I think
Yeah.
Justice League had they lacked the benefit of that.
Yeah.
Because they
May
had to
I
bring them
ask
together.
a somewhat silly question
Sure.
absolutely.
that has not been clear to me from all of the trailers I've watched. What is Eternals about? Like, what's
The
the
Eternals.
like? Give me the plot.
Sure.
Like, non of spoiler, of course, but like, what is it? What is it
I'm
about?
so curious about this.
So the Eternals are aliens, right? We all know that. That are sent to Earth to protect it, in a sense, right? There is obviously a big bad guy. There is difficulties along the way. There are twists and turns and love stories and all that stuff, but it's based off of the Eternals, is what this group refers to themselves as, and what they go through in their time on Earth, because they're pretty much immortal beings. So they get there during like the time when we were still cavemen, I guess you can say, or less civilized than, not even that.
It was the beginning of civilization.
Beginning of civilization,
The
all the way up
Fertile
until modern times now. That's basically what it goes over, and then to the time that it is now, there is this big crisis that needs to be solved, and the Eternals are the ones to do it, and all of that good stuff.
Johnny did that very well without giving spoilers, because it's really hard to discuss the actual plot without any spoilers. It's not great for marketing it, because they kept marketing it as like, oh, why didn't you help Thanos? And they have that throwaway line in there, but like it literally has nothing to do with the actual movie, and what's, because it's a lot more internal.
Eternal.
It's more internal conflict that kind of drives the movie. And then there is an external threat, which, to be perfectly honest, the third act kind of falls apart for me a little bit. But
I think the biggest problem is how could you possibly create a villain for these people that is impactful in one film, you know?
They do. They do a very good job at creating that villain, just how it's set up and I mean, the way that they deal with that situation is what I have the issue with.
Yeah, that's how the third act falls apart. Is they have kind of like 2 to 3 different like routes they go, and they committed to all 3 of them, and then it just kind of all falls apart.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
like it's a really awesome like kind of battle that they have towards the end. There's some really surprising moments from some characters that you wouldn't expect. That's fucking cool.
But there's no, it almost feels like the point is missed in those battles, because the way that you think about it is like, okay, first off, why are you fighting? And second off, like, how does this work? And once you see it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. How does this work? Because it doesn't do a great job at like describing what it is. And the way that they do describe what's happening is very like, I mean, okay, it's like we need to move the plot along, so we're just gonna create this thing.
Yeah,
I think this conversation would be a better conversation to have when Zack and Daniel, you both have seen it.
I'm gonna watch it eventually. As soon as it gets on Disney Plus, I'll check it out.
January 12th. Sure. I looked it up.
Okay, there you go. Well,
cool.
Not too long.
Then our next episode.
Yeah.
May I have one other question, and this might be a spoiler question, so whatever.
Sure.
We can. Can these people be blipped? Were any of them blipped? Is that something that's addressed?
I don't think it's a spoiler to say, but they never said any of them were.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I was just curious.
They
What are the chances of that?
They talked about
right.
the blip, and it is addressed.
Sure, well,
briefly,
of course. Every Marvel movie has to at least give some lip service to it.
Reference, yeah.
Okay, well that's cool. Good to know. I was curious. I was in my headcanon, I was like, oh, maybe that somehow plays into the
That'd be cool.
climax.
It does.
If
now that I'm
someone
thinking about it,
disappears.
it does. It completely does. And that's all I can say about it.
Well, how very interesting. Now I'm honestly more curious to see the movie than I was before we had this conversation.
Yeah, it's hard to answer these questions without giving spoilers for sure. Okay, so my take, I don't know, Ryan, if you had anything else you wanted to throw in there, but
I was just gonna say, I mean, it's definitely 100% worth the watch when it comes on Disney Plus, especially for the greater Marvel universe. If some of the elements that they set up for it, because it's not a spoiler to say the Celestials are in it,
Sure.
and
well, I'm sure we'll be seeing the Eternals again.
Yes, they set it up for Eternals.
Of course, yeah. I mean, that's how it is.
That's how they were not going to make a movie just for a one-off.
Yeah,
that's another thing is going back to how the ending kind of falls apart. It kind of just ends.
It does. It really does.
And it's not a conclusion.
The way they set up for the next the next movie is the end, and that in itself
hate that.
isn't satisfying enough to be like, that was good. It hit so flat
Yeah.
when they did it.
Yeah.
It really did.
Yeah, I honestly, and I think we can all safely agree that I think that's one of Marvel's greatest challenges with the way that they've set up their universe, is that some movies it's really hard to give a convincing, satisfying conclusion to, because they're always trying to hint or lead you on to the next one.
The one last thing I will say again though about the characters though, they did a really good job about making you actually like pretty much all of them.
I heard Kumail Nanjiani's really good.
He's definitely
His
the scene
character's
stealer.
so great.
I like Paperboy.
He is.
But he also, this isn't also a super spoiler to say, but he sits the entire third act out. Like,
God damn it.
yeah. That's the,
now I understand some of those reviews I've read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go into my take, because my take is gonna be mostly negative, unfortunately.
Oh, let's go.
I'll start with a positive. I think that the representation in this movie is top notch. They made sure to at least represent. They represented a large spectrum of cultures. I say
well,
cultures,
that's kind of Chloe
but
Zhao's
ethnicities,
thing.
I would say.
That's the director, right?
Ethnicities.
Yeah.
I
think that
honestly, I didn't
you're
know.
right.
Chloe Zhao.
Ethnicities, I think, is the better way to describe it, because it's not really like culture. They're not really like I remember. Anyways, whatever. Ethnicities, and then also, they have the first deaf superhero in this movie as well, which I think was awesome, because I, being an ASL interpreter, was watching them actually sign, and they were signing ASL.
That's cool.
American Sign Language. There were some off signs here and there, but it is what it is. I mean, that's kind of that's the nature of the beast. Anyways, they were actually signing, and that never happens. It never happens, and that was awesome. That was awesome to actually see what they were doing, and not only that, but they were doing it in a way that she wasn't always lip reading. They actually had an interpreter there too, so that was kind of cool. And that's also repeated in Hawkeye as well. So I think that they actually did that well. However, actually repeating back what Ryan said, I think that they did do a very good job setting up all of the characters to make you actually like them. But that's where it drops off. I think they did a great job with doing all of that. And then the rest of it, I think the plot was very shaky. I thought that the villain, one villain that they had was pointless. And the main villain that they had was cool, but fell short. And I think my overall opinion of the movie, I feel like they made the movie to have the representation, which isn't a bad thing. I think that it's a great thing, especially with Marvel's position to do these kind of things. Mm-hmm. However, I don't think that they really put too much effort into making the movie sound and good. I think that that's what the issue was. I think that's at least that was my issue with it. I think it was freaking awesome that they had all of that representation, but I think that they should have kept it in the oven a little bit longer in terms of the plot and writing the actual story.
I get that. They punched it up a little bit.
So, another thing to talk about for the plot, non-spoiler wise, is kind of the whole idea is the Eternals are there to protect the Earth from the Deviants, which are another alien creature kind of thing that kind of preys on life, right? And so the Eternals are there to specifically hunt these things down. And so they're on Earth for forever. And at a certain point, they succeeded in their mission. They killed them all, or so they thought, which is where the movie takes place back up in modern day, post the blip. There's a reemergence of these deviants, and they're more powerful than they've ever been. And basically, they have like a huge power boost, essentially, which threatens them.
Sounds cool.
One last thing I was thinking while Johnny was talking about, the American Sign Language and just that character in general, who's definitely one of the coolest characters in the movie. And this is they did Quicksilver better because she was the speedster. She was a better Quicksilver than Quicksilver was earlier in the MCU.
100%.
She was way cooler. They handled her powers way better than any of the other past MCU versions of it.
Yeah, totally agree.
It's hard to compare it versus the Quicksilver in the X-Men movies because that's such a different way that they handled it. They handled the speed.
What about the Quicksilver from WandaVision?
Well, that's completely different also. But yes, 100% better than that also. Just the way they handled it in combat was way cooler.
Yeah. Her powers were so freaking tight. Their powers were cool. Like, they had really cool powers. It just, it just fell flat, unfortunately. It's one of the I would venture to say that I didn't like it as much as I liked Black Widow. I think that this probably was down towards the lower end of my list, but it is what it is.
They can't all be bangers.
And I'm glad that they made it. It's definitely something that everybody should watch, I think, if you're a true fan in Marvel, but if you're not,
whatever they do with Eternals 2 will be more interesting. Definitely. I think it'll have its own plot they have, the characters introduced at this point. Right. And they don't have to do a shoehorn plot to make it work.
Well, I'm excited to see it, and I'm excited to watch it so I can tell you guys why the Justice League is way better.
That's fair.
All right, well, stay tuned for our next podcast episode where we rip apart either Justice League or Eternals. It's going to be one or the other. One will win. Cool. Okay, well, that out of the way, let's start talking about... these are kind of at the same time, Hawkeye or Spider-Man. What do you guys want?
Hawkeye.
I'll save Spider-Man for last.
Hawkeye.
I feel like we're going to talk about
Hawkeye.
that.
Hawkeye isn't over yet. It gets done the week after we're recording this. There's one episode left. I have seen everything up to this point. I think, Zach, you said you are episode 3, and Daniel, you're at 0. Where are you at, Johnny?
I am all the way up 2.
This is going to be an interesting conversation. There isn't really anything that happened between now and last episode that was a spoiler, really, other than
he's on episode 3. This was episode 5, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And the reason why I say this is because the one major thing that happens in the last episode is something you already know is going to happen based on the post-credit scene of
I heard about it.
Black Widow. Yeah. So
I heard that it happened, and I knew it was gonna.
Yes, I mean you knew it was going to happen.
She got blocked from Instagram because she made a post. Like as it came out, not as it came out, but the day it was released, she tweeted something or Instagram posted something, and they blocked her because everybody was so mad at her for doing that.
Wow.
Anyways, it's hilarious.
You're talking about the actress.
Drama.
The actress.
I don't. What are we talking about? What are we?
It's okay. It is non-spoiler. I didn't put any names in there. I didn't want anybody to know.
Cut my track out there for a second because I said the name. But
okay, well we'll cut it out. But anyways, I don't want to put any spoilers in there.
Sure,
but it's a cool reveal. We already knew that it was basically going to happen anyways at some point. Anyways.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So
show's pretty good.
Show's good.
It's good. I like it. I really like it. I think the trick arrows that they've used.
Hawkeye, but they make a good case of it.
I think the trick arrows that they use in episode 3.
That was
it's episode 3. Pretty cool. We'll talk more about that in the spoiler episode or spoiler portion of the episode. Definitely worth a watch. Daniel, you need to get to it.
Yeah, I will.
Oh, go on.
Well, it's not as like groundbreaking as any other type of these shows at all. It's not, but it's very good in terms of keeping it grounded, because Hawkeye, though he is super in terms of his like reflexes, aim, all of that stuff, he's not a superhero. You know, he's not like Captain America where he has the super soldier serum. He's not like Iron Man that has the suit and otherwise not. He's just like super intelligent, I guess. He's not like any of them. He is literally what he does is he's very tactical and he's very good at aiming and he's
a mass murderer.
A mass murderer.
Also that.
But with that, the way that they frame this show is great in what I'm saying, keeping it grounded, because I love the fact that they're taking Ubers. I love it. It's great. I love that we're taking elevators. I love that we're like keeping it grounded, you know? It's awesome. I think that is one of the cool, you know, we've had superheroes this entire time and then now taking that behind the scenes, I guess you can say, look at these superheroes is really cool. And I like the show. It's great.
I think the thing that interests me the most about that character and the thing that I'm most interested to see if they kind of delve with at all is, you know, kind of what happened, how he's coping with what his actions were like during the blip.
The whole show. That is the whole show.
So that's great. If that's what the show's about, like I'm super in. I haven't really watched like any trailers or anything, so I literally know nothing about it. But I'm glad that that's the way they went with it because, you know, he didn't get a lot of screen time in Endgame, and the things we do see him do in Endgame are pretty brutal. So you know, I think that's an interesting thing to focus on.
Conflict of this show is the aftermath of that.
Great.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's super cool.
And I also like going in, I was like, I don't give a shit about Hawkeye. Like what are they gonna do to make me care? And like pretty fast. I was like, oh okay, this is actually interesting.
He's
on board
endearing.
with this.
He's endearing as hell. Like he is a human being behind the bow. And I think that they present him very well in that case. And that just feeds into what I was saying, keeping it grounded is like, this shows that although there's more to Hawkeye, you know, there's Clint Barton that we don't know yet. And I think that that's a really cool way to approach the show.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, without also going too deep into spoiler territory, which is hard for me to know if I'm doing since I haven't seen it. But I mean, obviously, we're all aware that Marvel made TV shows before Disney Plus, and some of those shows are some of my favorite, not just superhero properties, but some of my favorite TV shows of all time. And so going back, focusing on characters that are a little bit more grounded, you know, regardless of whether or not it's gritty, but just like real people dealing with real shit, I think is, you know, what kind of excites me, especially after we've seen these stories that are really grand and, you know, universe hopping in some capacity. Like it's nice to see things kind of zeroed down to a place that is more relatable.
I think another cool thing is going along that line of it being more grounded, it's more local. It's all taking place in New York right now.
Yeah.
Whether or not the finale, there's only one episode left. The finale takes place in the same spot, and you're gonna be very excited, Daniel, for where that takes place.
Yeah, but which is exactly why, like those shows that I'm referencing, the Netflix ones, for those of you who might not know what I'm talking about. Again, most of those are the same way, where they're kind of, you know, set in wherever they're set, and everything, all the action kind of takes place there, and it just feels very tied together.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So
Ryan. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing that I really like, I mean, I'm enjoying the show a lot. That being said, it is predictable, but also there's been some twists in there I didn't expect. There's a lot of things like me and like Sabrina, as we watched it, we called it. I think there's 2 different instances that we called, and then it happened. And then, but there's still one. There was another twist I was not expecting to happen in this last episode, which, like I said, not going into spoilers. It's hard to talk about, but
it's a big one. It's a big one.
It is a big one. But like,
was not expecting it whatsoever.
There's a lot of things that
I'll catch up.
Like I said, like there's a lot of things you know what's gonna happen, but it doesn't ruin your enjoyment from it, though.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the mark of a good show.
Yeah. 100%. I think it's a great show.
how does it rank
hard.
with the
I
other?
was literally just about to say that. I don't know how to rank them because they're so different.
Yeah.
You know, Loki is this mind-bending, time-traveling type of show, and then you have Hawkeye where they're
I think it's
they're trying to deal with a local
It is a Christmas
New York thing.
movie. Is what
Yeah.
they're going for.
Basically,
Like,
yeah.
They're full on going through all the beats of a Christmas movie.
I gotta get home before Christmas, but
Yeah.
like shit keeps getting worse, and I can't do that because I gotta go back to the kids. But I just got worse again.
I read a review that said that Hawkeye is Disney Marvel's version of Die Hard.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was just thinking of too. Yeah,
It is literally it is Die Hard.
That's
They're
cool.
hitting
Die Hard's a
beats.
good movie. So I mean, if you're gonna rip something good.
Yeah.
No, it is good. So
It-
I don't know
it
how it
is-
ranks in terms of like favorite.
It's definitely its own version of Die Hard because it's obviously not like the vent crawling
right.
Die
Well,
Hard.
and
like,
it's
beat for beat,
Hawkeye,
but-
so like
But it's not like Die Hard 3 where it's city spanning because the stakes aren't that high. It's all personal stakes.
right. Well, I mean, I've never seen any Die Hard besides the first one, so
Sure.
Three's pretty good.
It is very hard to rank because it is so different. I enjoy it, and that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it is definitely worth a watch.
I
think that everybody would enjoy it.
if I may,
Yeah.
from what the 3 episodes I've seen, I think it's a little better, maybe on par with Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Sure,
But I don't.
I would
think
say it's on
gonna,
par for sure.
I don't think it's gonna overtake WandaVision or Loki.
okay.
But and I think the reason why,
'Cause those are better
because I
shows.
don't. No,
Yep.
I don't think that. I think that
I
the
do.
reason why, for me, I think the reason why is because those are, I want to say, cataclysmic type of shows where big fucking things happen.
Which makes them
Where-
better shows, in my opinion.
Sure. No, and that's totally valid. I get it. But the reason why I say that is because to rank everything in that way, I would say, yeah,
That's not true.
It's at the
Daredevil
bottom.
Whipped ass. So this is
Daredevil
not exactly
did whip
a
ass.
metric.
Season 1 for sure was so good. But out of the most recent Disney Plus shows, I would say that Hawkeye is at the bottom, but I don't think that
Doesn't
does
mean
it
it's bad.
justice. I
Well,
don't think
yeah.
it does it justice. And it doesn't mean that it's bad. No. I just
the
don't
very
think it
least,
does it
it's on par.
justice.
And no
It is
offense,
on par.
no offense to Jeremy Renner. He could give the best performance of his goddamn life, and he still, I'm sorry, Jeremy Renner probably wouldn't be able to hold a candle to someone like Tom Hiddleston or what's her face, Wanda, one of the sisters,
Olsen
Elizabeth
twins.
Olsen or Paul
Or
Bettany.
one
Like
of the Olsens.
these are
Yeah.
some of the best working actors right now. Jeremy Renner is a fantastic actor. I don't know if I'd ever, which is why I think it's great that they paired him up on screen with Haley Steinfeld, who is probably one of the best up and coming young performers in Hollywood right now. She is having a monster year. I don't know if you guys have taken a look and see what she's done this last year. So she's had Hawkeye, she's had Arcane, which I
wow.
don't think we're going to talk about today, but is fucking insane, and
I
everyone
need
should
to get
watch
on
it.
it.
It's
I need to get on it.
incredible.
It's at the top of my
I
list.
heard.
It
I'm
is
gonna get on it immediately.
mind-blowingly good. So she's got that. She's got Hawkeye. She's also got what else did she do this year?
Just those 2 things.
That's enough.
I mean,
That's
it
more
is
than
enough.
enough.
Arcane is one of the biggest shows to hit the end of the year.
Oh,
Like,
well,
it
of
is-
course. Okay, this wasn't this year, but she also was Gwen Stacy in Into the Spider-Verse. Obviously, we know that she's going to be coming back and doing that again.
Sure.
Like,
Sure.
she is a fantastic actress, and one of the main reasons I'm excited to
See,
finally
what
dip
I
my
was
toe in the
gonna
show.
say though is the best part of Hawkeye is how endearing those interactions are between Jeremy Renner and Haley Steinfeld's Kate Bishop and Clint Barton. Like those, their chemistry is just very well done on both sides, and as far as representation goes, again, like, you know, they're doing Hawkeye's disability
Hard
in
of
the
hearing.
comic with hard of hearing, and there's at one point where his hearing aid gets broken for part of the episode, which is in episode 3, I think, and their interactions that they have, as they're taking public transportation, as they're both cross-talking each other. Like she says something and then he says the same thing after her, and then
Yeah,
it's
like
pretty-
she'll say something and then on to the next sentence she'll say something and then he says the thing that she just said right before, like, oh, it's
like
so
it's
funny.
his idea.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
their relationship is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I can
It's
really
very much
say.
like it, like he's taking her on as another one of his kids, kind of. I mean, it's kind of that vibe that I get,
Well, 'cause,
but
yeah, he's
also
spending
keeping her
his
at arm's
Christmas-
length. Right.
He's spending his Christmas with her instead of his actual family.
Yeah. So.
Not necessarily for the reasons, that are good reasons to do so, but
It is what it is.
It is what it
he's
is.
Stuck in that. He's
Yeah.
stuck in that situation, so he's making the best out of it. But anyways,
More on
it
that
is
later.
it's a great show. Everybody should watch it for sure.
This week, I'm gonna finally catch up on it.
And
Well,
we'll
you'll
get
be
on
done.
Arcane.
Yep.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, check out Arcade.
Been
It's
meaning to
really,
do
it's
it for a
really
long
good.
time.
Anyway, that's beside the point, though.
All right. So now with that out of the way, let's get into the really big one. Again, no
Non-spoilers still.
spoilers just yet.
Briefly,
but
please. I need to go spoilers so fast.
Spider-Man. No spoilers will be brief. We'll just give you our overall ideas on what we thought of it, and then we're just gonna go crazy
at the end of the
So
episode.
check in at there. But Spider-Man: No Way Home. What do you guys think?
movie.
Well, Spider-Man is my favorite hero, just in general. To be perfectly honest, I wasn't super thrilled with Homecoming. Not that it was a bad movie. It wasn't bad, but it didn't feel like a Spider-Man movie to me. Far From Home was better as far as feeling like a Spider-Man movie. It still lacked. This movie feels like a Spider-Man movie. Once and for all, we're back there. I'm very, very thrilled with how that came about. And by the end of the movie, we have the classic Spider-Man.
The suit.
Well, not
more than that.
not even just a suit. Like literally, like what makes Peter Parker who he is
Gotcha.
his constant
Right.
ability
Yes.
to always do the right thing, always be self-sacrificing. Even, or it's not even that he does the right thing, is he always tries to do the right thing. Whether or not that is the right thing, he always does his best to help when he can. And none of the other MCU Spider-Man movies has truly hit that home. Hell, Far From Home, the entire movie, he spends the whole movie running away from his issues, which Nick Fury in that movie, who's not really Nick Fury, yells at him for. Basically, he needs to man up, which obviously is not the way to do it, because he never had to face that responsibility. And he finally understands what it means to be Spider-Man. And on top of that, like we can't go into it too far
Just yet.
without spoilers, but he's finally what you imagine Peter Parker being, because like the MCU has always had he's always had Tony Stark's equipment, and now
Sure.
he's always been poor. Him and Aunt May's always have not made it very far, but in the MCU you never really see much of that. But
Sure.
we're definitely gonna get a lot more of that going forward.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a spoiler to say, really.
No.
So
I mean, I think it's one of my favorite MCU films. I don't think it's a spoiler to say that one of my favorite things about this film is that it doesn't hold your hand at all. It assumes that if you see this movie, then you are familiar with the MCU, you're familiar with how Spider-Man has evolved over the last couple decades. This is not a movie for some random dude off the street. But because it does that, because it doesn't waste any time over-explaining things or trying to get people in the loop, it creates this sort of incredible experience for all of us who have grown up with these films since we were little kids, in a way that I don't think that there's ever been a movie ever before that's tried to do. And that is really cool. And I will also say that I never even saw Homecoming.
Wow.
It was always described to me as sort of skippable because, of course, Spider-Man in the MCU was introduced in Civil War. So, like, I already felt like I, like, kind of got it. And so I didn't really feel like I needed a Homecoming to, like, get familiar with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I did see Far From Home. I didn't like it that much. I saw it way after the time, though. Like, I think I watched it this summer for the first time. And thought it was kind of boring. And again, that I had these grand ideas about what I wanted them to do with the story, and I felt like they kind of copped out. And as I was mentioning before with my problems kind of with What If, when watching No Way Home was the first time that I saw a Marvel movie where their idea was way better than the idea I'd cooked up in my head.
All right.
What they did was absolutely near perfect. I don't know if anything is perfect. It came near perfect to kind of delivering on this grandiose, almost incomprehensible scale of what they wanted to do, and it was wildly successful.
Yeah.
Thought it was good.
I'll concede my time to get us into spoilers, but yeah, I thought it was fucking great.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the movie. Okay, so we just got done with our no spoilers talk with Spider-Man. Let's talk about Spider-Man once again. He just got released in PlayStation version of Avengers, and I know, Ryan, you and I kind of talked about it a little bit. What?
And it's super fun, and everyone loves it.
Okay,
I think we'll start off talking about how great the Spider-Man PlayStation 4 game is, and how well Miles Morales is, and how excited we are for Spider-Man PS5
how he's in Fortnite
100%.
and has web sling that's great.
Fortnite came out with Spider-Man also that looks really great and fun. I haven't played that yet. I'm actually interested in picking up Fortnite for the first time to play as Spider-Man.
There you go.
But
So, Spider-Man and Marvel's Avengers. Actually, pretty fun, gotta say. Enjoyable. As far as Marvel's Avengers goes, it's about as good as it could possibly get. The character is fairly well designed. The web, his web and, giving webbing enemies and the status effect is sort of the main thing he does. In Marvel's Avengers, that's just not a very powerful way to build a character because that's just not something the game really encourages you to do. So he's sort of on the weaker side. And every character in that game has sort of a signature move where basically every character has a dodge and they have a parry. And each character's parry is related to, what they can do. Black Widow has a grappling hook. Tony Stark has like a shield, thing he does. Hulk roars or whatever.
gets angry.
He gets angry, yeah, exactly. It literally, I think it's like called rage or whatever. And Spider-Man, he doesn't have a parry. He just gets a better dodge. So in a way, he's also the simplest character because every combat scenario is solved with the same button, which is a little bit frustrating. The problem is that in the same patch they released Spider-Man in, they changed over how the currency in the game worked. So I have spent no units or resources in the game because I just kind of been stockpiling. I hadn't played that much, whatever. So I probably had, like maybe 100,000 credits, all this other stuff. Like I had all this stuff amassed. Logged into the game right immediately after Spider-Man had dropped, played for about 10 minutes, went to the helicarrier to go buy some like gear to try and power level him, realized about 60% of all of my units and fragments and all of the stuff I'd collected over a year was gone. Turned off the game, deleted it. I'm never going to boot it back up again.
See, they've already, I will say they've already fixed that, and they've gave everybody like a huge thing.
I literally just re-downloaded it earlier today. I'm waiting. I'm going to log back in, see if they gave me my shit back. I've heard it's not working for everybody. So I'm hoping when I log back in, it's there. Otherwise, like, That pissed me the fuck
Done.
off. I'm done. But actually, Spider-Man as a character in the game, one of the better ones. One of the better options. More
They
fun
said
to play.
supposedly that everybody got like 100,000 something or other.
Oh, dang, you just doubled your credits right there, Daniel. If you got
Maybe.
it.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
See, my complaint, I mean, like you said, it's the best that it can be for the game that it is. And honestly,
Yes.
the cool thing about being able to play Spider-Man, which obviously I haven't played it because I don't have it on the PlayStation, but the cool idea is Spider-Man PS4 and those games are so well done, and it's really fun to swing around, and it would be really fun to have a multiplayer version of that. And this is the closest we're gonna get to that because
And I'll be honest, the web swinging does not feel good.
No,
like,
it doesn't.
If you compare it to other things, it doesn't live up. I don't think it's fair to compare it to the other things, so
Sure.
I'm going to avoid kind of going there, but like, again, for
Yeah,
the
like-
game that it is, they did a great job.
the problem with the game in general with the traversal is obviously not just Spider-Man related. It's just people all the time are
Yes.
complaining about this, but like you can't fly very high, you can't
No.
go very fast.
No.
Like Black Widow and Captain America are the same speed basically. I don't
Web
think there's any
swinging,
difference.
my biggest problem with it is it has no momentum.
Yeah, you just stop.
Every time you click the button, it's the same
Yikes.
every time, and it's a
sounds bad.
little bit herky jerky. Like just comparing it to something, like again, I don't want to compare it. When I have a game like PS4 Spider-Man
PS4
already,
Spider-Man.
it's impossible for me to not
Maybe
say,
you should compare it.
well, but
to
that's a great.
play
I could
Spider-Man
just I'll
experience.
play that if I want to play as Spider-Man.
But the
Yeah.
problem is though too is like there's no reason why the traversal has to be as janky as it is. There's no reason for it. There's
No.
like
Besides the fact that it's just a jank game.
yeah.
Well, I mean, it sounds like they didn't put enough time into the fucking
Who
web
knows?
swinging.
The game is a disaster. It's there's no way it lasts more than another 6 months.
Ooh.
Um,
On the counter side to that, though, the Suicide Squad game looks really good, which it looks like what
Are they
Avengers
doing
was
the
trying
same
to be.
kind of thing? Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, it looks like what Avengers was trying to do, but actually
Yeesh.
good.
Marvel's
Wow,
Avengers
DC
has made
just
me
slapped back.
cynical. Marvel's Avengers has made me cynical for any superhero game that ever will come out again, especially if it's cooperative with other people on the same map. So I am very nervous. I'll wait and see after it comes out, just like I did with Guardians of the
I
Galaxy.
definitely don't have
Good
any
call.
stake in the Suicide Squad game, so I don't really care. I'm not gonna get it.
It is made by Rocksteady, I think, which is the
Yeah.
same group that did the Arkham series, which,
Sure.
of course,
Good sign.
one of the greatest
So
series
good.
of all time.
So good. Two things. One, going back to Ryan, you said this is the closest thing that we'll have to playing Spider-Man together as a co-op thing. What if in the next PS5
it's not
Spider-Man?
gonna happen, but
I mean,
don't
they
know
have
about
Miles
that.
Morales and they have
There's a
regular
real,
Spider-Man.
I
chance there
know-
could be co-op.
That could totally
I
happen.
know that it could. I that was what I said from the ending of the first game. Like I said that immediately. Like
I think
that's on my wish list. I would love this.
already. Yeah.
I don't think that's gonna happen though.
I could see it.
It would be an
but
update,
we'll
or at
wait.
least
We'll
a
have to
DLC.
wait and see.
I think
You expect
it'll happen.
disappointment, you
Is that,
won't
Yeah, I
is
don't
that a
know.
2022 release or is that 2023?
2023.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't
fine.
think
I'll
it's.
keep
I
waiting.
don't think it's gonna happen. I would be thrilled if it did. But
Yeah.
as MJ says in No Way Home, which is not a spoiler.
Literally
said-
just what
literally
Zach
just
said.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't.
But anyways, okay, so
Yeah.
second thing.
Yeah.
And I can't remember. It was about something that Daniel said about your biggest or the reason why you have bad feelings about getting like a brand new superhero game. Even more general, any game in general. I bought Deathloop. And I don't know if we've talked about this yet.
No.
I bought Deathloop. It was supposed to be this game and it wasn't.
Yep.
It was completely different. It's fun, a different kind of fun, but not the fun that I signed up for. And I think that that's really fucked up by the studios. I don't even know who made it. I
That's
can't.
it's so
I
funny
really
you say
think it was
that
fucked up.
because I bought it.
Mhm.
It was exactly what I thought it was going to be, and I loved it. I would say
I
it's one of my
liked the
favorite
game.
games from the last year. And I don't know what I saw or why I had the preconceived notions about it. I did, but I knew exactly what I was getting into.
Sure.
And I also know that actually it was really funny because I watch I don't know, are you guys familiar with ACG? It's this dude on YouTube. He reviews video games. he's great. I really love his reviews. I think he has a really nice style, and he really breaks things down in kind of a way that Total Biscuit did, way back in the day. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
And he even had to post a Deathloop review, and he was like, yeah, just not for me. Didn't like it, didn't jive, expected one thing, wasn't that. And I remember commenting on that video like, what a shame, I gotta have it. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna love it. And I even got a response to that comment. He's like, hey, go for it, man. Whatever makes you happy. And I'm like, but for me, it was the right call.
Sure. I don't think that you can argue that it was definitely marketed a different way. I think that it was marketed to be a type of linear story, similar to how they had Dishonored. It's kind of like a linear story, and I knew that it wasn't gonna be linear because that's the entire point of the loop and everything like that. I understood that.
Right.
And I think in terms of the loop part, they did a really cool job at doing that. But in terms of like the story, it's not a linear thing. It's like you're discovering it as you're going through all the loops, which is cool. But I would have liked to have another completely linear story going all the way through the entire thing.
Sure.
It is what it is. Whatever. I still like the game. It was very fun.
Yeah.
Just different. That's all. But
Another-
anyways.
I was gonna say another game that is coming out soon is a new Dragon Ball game. That's a very, very
Breakers. The
different
Breakers.
Man,
Dragon
this
Ball
game's
game than
weird.
they've ever done before.
It's like Dead by Daylight, but with
It's-
Dragon Ball.
yeah, which
Right.
is,
I heard about that.
which is interesting because all the survivors are all trying to collect the different things, and then one of them becomes the hero and then fights the monster. Basically.
Sort of.
Kind of.
I've watched some gameplay. So basically what it is there's 7 survivors. They're going around the map. You're collecting items to build the time machine to go forward in time to stop Cell from coming back. There are different power-ups and things you can do to survive, because obviously if Cell gets you, you're toast. Or there will be other villains. They've already said there's also going to be Boo and Frieza. Basically, so there's a power-up where you can become one of the Z Fighters. Every character can do this at various points in the game as long as you collect the right items from the field. You could become Piccolo, Vegeta, Gohan, etc., and duke it out with Cell and then try and escape, or give your friend some time to get away. You can collect the Dragon Balls. It seems interesting. I'll check it out.
Yeah, I thought you'd be interested in that.
Yeah.
Seems cool.
I will be
It seems
interesting.
fucking weird, but it
And
seems cool.
I really wonder how they're gonna do that though.
The
'Cause
game
I
looks
mean,
really
I have-
janky. To be perfectly
It does.
honest,
It looks a little jank.
It
When
looks
is it
pretty
supposed to be
janky.
released?
Next year, but there was a closed beta. I actually submitted
Oh, so
for
they're,
it. I
like, pretty
didn't
much
get a
done.
key for the first round. I think there's going to be a second round either in about a month or so. I'm hoping I get a key to that. And if I get more, I'll try and share it with you guys. And maybe we could play
on the
some
next
rounds.
episode.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it seems very interesting.
It seems cool. What I really appreciate about it, even though it does look really janky and doesn't necessarily look good, doesn't look bad either. It looks different, and that's what I like is that they're trying something very new with the property that they haven't tried before.
Yeah.
Rather than just making the same fighting game
Yeah.
reskinned.
Sure.
And it's a cool
over
twist
and
with
over.
it also makes sense. Like,
Sure.
if you were not a Z fighter, of course you would be hiding in the rubble of a building to
Yeah.
get away from Cell, because you know that dude's gonna fucking destroy you.
With just a flick of his fucking
Yeah,
finger.
if you were a
Yeah.
Namekian, you're gonna run away from Frieza because he's just gonna murderize you.
Yeah.
So
See,
from
what's-
that perspective, I think it's cool in universe.
What's also interesting about some of the comments I was reading people post, because you mentioned that they're gonna make Frieza and Boo. I saw that too. I think some other people were saying that Goku Black could show up, which would be
That'd be cool.
an interesting twist as well. I mean, there's obviously so many different things they could do, but
There is.
Well, with that aside, let's see what next is on the list that we have to talk about. We kind of got off with
Yeah.
the Marvel train, but Marvel TTRPG.
Yeah.
Ryan, you said that you saw that this was going to be released next year.
yeah, this is gonna
Early
be
next year?
released, I believe, in spring of 2022. So there already is a Marvel role-playing game that came out, I want to say sometime in this last decade of the 2010s at some point. But this one's a new one And this one looks like it's going to be a D20 system, which the last one was not a D20 system. It was like a weird amalgamation of different things. But yeah, the play test will be coming out pretty soon, I think, which is exciting. I'm not sure how you can get access to it, but we'll have to definitely try to check that out.
Yeah, we could try and do like a one shot. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and the playtest rulebook will come out with like all the different like characters from the stuff. It looks like the ones that they're focusing on right now for at least the playtest is Spider-Man, Black Panther, Captain America, Thor, Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, Wolverine, Storm, and they said many more as well. But
of course,
yeah, it'd be interesting. It says March. March 20,
I wonder how
22.
successful it's going to be because we have the Witcher. The Witcher came out with its own TTRPG set a while ago.
I didn't know
a few
that.
months ago.
Power Rangers coming out too.
Exactly. And that's pretty much where we are in this TTRPG realm, is that D&D has taken over so much, and it is the most popular tabletop role-playing game. Nobody can refute that because it's the truth. I mean, it is the most popular, and whenever there's these new niche things being released, there's already so many conversions for D&D 5e that you could just pick up and play with, and everybody already knows the rules. I wonder how successful it's going to be. You have all the true fans of Marvel and all that stuff that are most likely going to pick it up. But in terms of how actually successful it's going to be, in terms of like the general population, I honestly don't think it's going to be.
So, okay, so to amend myself a little bit, so it's called Marvel Multiverse Role-Playing Game. And the playtest rulebook comes out in March.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay.
So just the playtest.
Okay.
So, and it's also like $9 on Amazon right now, $9.99.
Oh, not bad.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how much content is actually going to be in it. 104 pages. That's how long.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm sure it's...
Yeah, I mean,
that's actually a lot more than I thought it was going to have.
Well, I mean, if you think if that's everything, if that's monster manual, characters,
this is just the play test.
and a scenario,
Sure.
right. But assuming that like that playtest includes all of the different components you'd need, it doesn't sound like a ton, but maybe we'll be
Right.
surprised.
I wonder how much Minds of Fendelver has. Because Minds of Fendelver...
That's a great comparison.
Let's see.
Honestly, it's probably not too far off.
I would play a Witcher.
sure it's
Because I think Minds of
would play
Fendelver
Witcher
is like 50
TTRPG
pages of
though.
content for just the adventure.
You said that.
Yeah.
Now I want to check it out.
And then I think the starter set for like
Oh yeah, the starter kit. I forgot about that one too. The Ice
I'm
Peak.
saying like the basic rules. The SRD is
Oh,
probably
sure,
only like
sure.
another 20 to 30 pages. So I'm guessing everything
Yeah,
that
it's
comes in
probably around
and
the same.
Minds of Fendelver is probably about the same.
Cool.
Yeah.
But
So we get a Minds of Fendelver. Most likely, it's not going to be as polished for sure, but
Sure.
Minds
It depends
of
on how
Fendelver-
much is taken up just by how different the rules are.
Sure,
If they
yeah.
have to explain mechanics in the game that we
They're-
might be unfamiliar
they're
with.
calling their system rather than the D20 system. They're calling it the D616 system, which is the
That's
main
fine.
one.
Oh, sure, whatever.
Do you get a D616?
I hope so.
That'd be
I would love it. I
Looks
would
like-
buy it just for that.
looks like
Imagine my
they're
fucking
literal
reskinning
balls.
the standard stats that you have in D&D. You have might, agility, resilience, vigilance, ego, and logic, which you can kind of see how they kind of all
Ego is charisma. and
Yeah,
Logic
logic
is
is
probably
intelligence.
Intelligence.
wisdom and intelligence. Wait, is there like a wisdom type?
there's might, which is strength, agility, dexterity, resilience.
Con.
Resilience is probably wisdom because there's
Con.
vigilant. Well, actually, vigilance is probably wisdom.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So basically the
Because
same.
perception. Yep,
All
so
good.
the same thing. They just reskinned it. That's
Yeah.
cool.
That's
There's a
fine.
bunch of that shit all over the internet. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be successful, but cool for them for trying.
I'm
mean,
curious
I'd be
to
interested
see
to
it.
see
It's
for sure.
Kickstarter, you know?
Yeah.
But
So, anyways, cool. With TTRPG out of the way, we also have a Marvel video game again, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay, yeah.
Daniel, you wanted to talk about it. I know I picked
Yeah.
it up Black Friday for
Me
really
too.
cheap. I started it. I haven't gotten very far into it. I've gotten to Lady Hellbender and just
Yep.
after that.
Yep.
It's fun. It's really,
Yeah.
it reminds me
I
a lot
heard
of
it's
D&D
surprisingly
too,
good.
because it's like
Yeah.
encounters.
Yes.
I think it's really cool.
I was blown away by it. I totally brushed it off. I was like, Square
did
Enix making a multiple hero game. Don't care. I've played Marvel's Avengers. Why would I want to play this? But I can only play as one character.
Really bad.
That sounds terrible.
Too.
And the trailers I wasn't into.
It
then
looked really
I knew all these
bad.
people.
Really
all these
bad.
people were like, I have it. I played it. It's good. You should play it. It was cheap on Black Friday. I picked it up. Was immediately hooked. Beat it just last week. So I beat it in like a couple weeks maybe. And I took my time with it. The writing is phenomenal. The gameplay is, it's whatever. I'm not really in it for the gameplay,
the
though.
graphics are like, they're okay. They're nothing crazy. But
On my PlayStation, on my TV, it actually looks really, really good. At least from in
Sure.
the way I have my setup kind of done. The thing about it that I found transcendent, the thing that really sets it apart, not just from other superhero games, but from most video games in general, is that there's a really hard time translating these characters and having them mean something or having them like be relatable. Like, I love playing The Witcher 3, one of the greatest RPGs of all time. There aren't many moments where like I can relate to Geralt. I just enjoy being Geralt and role-playing as him and going around the world. But there are a few moments where I'm like, oh yeah, I would do the same thing if I was in his shoes, or oh man, I feel really bad for Geralt right now. It's sort of a vicarious thing, whereas there were a couple of times in Guardians of the Galaxy where two characters, because between every mission, you can go back to the Milano, their ship, and you can chat with the characters. And every time you go back to Milano, there's new conversations that you can have. And depending on if you can discover certain collectibles on certain missions, you can unlock even more nuanced and more specific conversations with the characters. And there was one conversation in particular, I won't go into details because I think people should just experience it for themselves. But there's this moment with Quill and Gamora. And Quill picks up on something that was said in an earlier scene, and he's just like, hey, like, are you good? You want to talk about it? Like, it feels very relatable, and it gives you options. It's like, how do you want to ask her if she's okay? That's what you're going to do, but how are you going to try and maneuver around it in a way that makes her comfortable? Are you trying to make her feel comfortable? Are you just going to kind of make fun of her and make this a lighthearted moment? And the way that scene played out for me, and I don't know if there were other ways to take it because I only played through it that one way, I ended up in this really like deep, like serious, like sincere conversation that I felt like I could be having with like a very close friend that I was concerned about.
Sure.
And it just like it brought me like to tears, like
Wow.
emotionally, just incredibly poignant, and because it was so honest. And I did not expect that out of this game. And there were so many moments like that. I could go on and on and on about the way that these characters deal with real shit, depression, grief, rage, resentment. All of these things are things that these characters are dealing with in real time. And the acting, the writing, it all comes together. I don't know if I've really ever played a game that's been so successful in that way. Totally one of the best games of the year. Highly recommend it.
Never would have guessed in a million years. But
I think
didn't,
it's fun.
didn't even think I was going to like it. Yeah. But
I think it's fun.
yeah.
I didn't think I was going to like it either. I just got it because it was cheap, and I was like, I picked it up and I was like, oh, this is actually really enjoyable. Cool.
Yeah.
Picked it up.
I've heard nothing but positive things about it, really.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I think it's important to say it though too, again, because we were shitting on Avengers so hard again. That game, the campaign for it is so good. It's not necessarily
It's good.
It's not as good as like what Daniel was saying for Guardians of the Galaxy necessarily. But,
no way.
But the single player story is way more enjoyable than anything they've done past it.
Totally.
You're
right.
And it'd be great to have more of that single player story, but they don't because they have it multiplayer, and it's where it fails.
Guardians feels like the game that if they had not been dealing with the, being in a corporate entity and with people that want to make money off a live service game, it felt like Guardians was the game they wanted Avengers to be. And it just makes me even sadder that, damn, they really do have the resources to make this shit good, and they just fucking didn't. So it just makes Marvel Avengers seem like more
one of the things I like the most, like one of my favorite story missions from the Avengers game is when Bruce Banner and Kamala Khan find Tony Stark. That entire mission is so much fun as you're playing as Tony Stark, having like only just his gauntlet. Then you have one boot, and so you're half flying around, but it's like little hops. And then finally, by the end of the mission, you have a very, very shitty like 2 gauntlets, two boots, and you're flying around in a makeshift little outfit.
Yeah,
which was so fun, and I really liked that mission. I think that is literally my favorite.
That's
mission.
probably the best part of the game. You're spot on with that.
But this isn't fair at all. But I'm gonna ask it anyway. Which is better, Guardians or Spider-Man PS4?
Oh, Spider-Man.
It's Spider-Man. That's
Yeah.
But Spider-Man is like Spider-Man has everything going for it. Great acting, great writing, great villains, great gameplay. The gameplay is the only part of Guardians that I think it's fine. It's relatively uninspired.
Serviceable.
It doesn't really evolve that much over the course of the game. It's serviceable.
Good
but the story is the only thing that I gave a shit about, and I was enough to push that game into something that I'd recommend.
Lastly, with Spider-Man 2, you only are like halfway through the game, correct, Zach? You never finished it.
I'm at the 3rd act.
So you're at the very beginning of the 3rd act, right? Right when shit was hitting the fan.
Roughly, yeah.
So
in Miles Morales?
No.
OG.
PS4.
The first one. Okay,
see,
gotcha.
you definitely need to go back and complete that because the through line for that story is what makes it as good as it is. Like the game is really fun as you play through it. The story is enjoyable.
What I played.
It's the way it all comes together in the end is why, like I said earlier, is why he's the best Spider-Man.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a shame you've got the weird janky face now, but whatever.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the new updated Spider-Man face.
It's honestly, it's not bad. It's just that because I played through the game with the original face, it feels weird because I know that's not what I saw.
Maybe I just won't update my PS4 when I play it.
Well, I don't think you.
Oh no! If you have the original, if you have the original one, then
it's only in the PlayStation 5 version of it.
Oh, then I'm good.
Oh, really? I
cool.
thought maybe they updated it on the backwards
4.
way too.
Cool.
Never mind.
Cool. Big chillin'.
Well, then next Spider-Man game that you'll get the different face.
That's
sure will.
weird.
Honestly, it's grown on me. I don't mind it. He just looks young.
He just looks young.
But he looks age appropriate though.
Yeah,
I also
yeah.
get what you're talking about, Daniel, where it's like that's not what I experienced.
It's familiar.
And because the story's so good, and I felt like I became closer to him as a character. Like I really felt for him, changing his face. It's like no.
Yeah,
I liked I liked the guy I liked.
Sure.
But I understand it's when I play a brand new game with him, it probably won't bother me as much.
Sure. Ryan, you wanted to talk about Dexter? The New Blood.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. So Dexter New Blood came out
Marvel's
in the beginning
Dexter.
Did they drop it all, or is it episode by episode?
It's episode by episode. So tonight, actually, the new episode, as we're recording right now, just dropped. It technically doesn't come out till tomorrow, but because of the East Coast time, we get it like a few hours early.
What's it on?
It's on Showtime, and so I got it through the Showtime app. I just subscribed to their service for like however long it's gonna be, because it was worth the like probably $10 to $12 I'm gonna spend in that time. Because I think I got it for like $4.99 a month.
Nice.
I got the first month free, and the next 2 months is $4.99, so it's really cheap.
Yep. Cool.
Dexter's really good. And I can't really say much more than that without spoiling anything, and I don't want to spoil anything because Dexter is really, really good. I'm really enjoying everything. I know I never was a person who didn't like this last season, but I also was not the person who watched it from the beginning. I binge watched all of it after it was all out on Netflix.
If I haven't seen the last 2 seasons, am I gonna be like way out of the loop?
Honestly, no.
Okay.
No, I don't think
so.
so.
I might check it out because I'm not gonna watch the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, you really don't need it. Obviously, you'll understand certain things maybe more, but you don't need it. Once I realized I wasn't gonna watch the last 2 seasons, I did like Google how the show ended. Okay,
so like
as long as you're familiar with what happens, that's all you need to know.
Sure.
No, Dexter New Blood has been really, really exciting. I'm really I'm curious how it's going to end. This is episode 7 that comes out tonight/tomorrow. And there is after tonight 2 more episodes. 3 more.
Cool.
It's 8, 9, and 10.
Cool.
Is it just a 1 season thing? Like a reprise?
We'll
For
see.
now.
We'll see.
Sure.
They what they have said very conclusively is that it is a story beginning to end. Whether that means it's completely concluded and they're not making more, or they can go off and make a new story, we don't know yet. I'd be honestly, with how they've set it up, I would be very happy if they continue more. It's been, like I said, a very fun ride. It's been a very interesting thing. The first episode, really, really great. Very slow storytelling. And there's a few things where you're not sure if, like, are they going to bring this back, or are they just going to avoid that entire section of what made Dexter Dexter, and they bring it right back in the perfect moment. And it's not
The Dark Passenger.
It's not, well, the Dark Passenger is there the whole time. How they handle it in this show is very cool. There's always been really funny moments with the Dark Passenger in general, where he's having conversations with the Dark Passenger next to him, like in public. And like, you always wonder, like, what does it look like to the outside world when he's just having all these conversations? And they reference it. Like, there was a moment where he's sitting in his pickup truck and he's just yelling at the Dark Passenger next to him, and then it cuts to the outside as these teenage girls are looking at him, and he's like looking just dead in front of him, and then he realizes he's outside. Like, he notices that they're looking at him, and they kind of like do like a little awkward like wave, and he just kind of waves to them. Like, it's the way they acknowledge it is really funny. It's it's very well done. Everybody who's in this has been giving it their all. Clancy Brown is in it. He's doing a phenomenal job in it.
I like him.
And the one I'm not gonna say who the character is. You'll find it out at the end of the first episode. Whether or not it's actually them, I'm not gonna say one way or the other. But there's a teenage actor in it who does a phenomenal job. He is definitely a standout in the series. Although at this point, there's some complaints in the story I can see people having, where they're not resolving stuff, but it's also a very deep issue that they're kind of probably just saving for the finale, you know? But
that makes sense.
It's some people have said it's getting repetitive. I don't mind any of it because it feels natural to me. Because
that's what
without saying anything more than that, it's just that's how a teenager would act.
Mhm.
So like,
gotcha.
cool.
So
yeah,
everybody
really
needs
solid.
to check it out.
Really excited to see how it concludes. Everything that the original showrunner who did the first 4 seasons, he's the one that's doing this season again.
Oh, good. Those are the ones I watch.
He said that the finale will break the internet. So how that means and what that means, we'll see, I guess. But
He's gonna get away again.
Fucking spider.
We'll see.
Gonna show up.
So everybody
the
check
other
it out.
version,
It sounds...
a multiverse of Dexter show up.
Oh god, that'd be so funny. Everybody that knows who the killer is.
No, apparently, I mean, I'm not familiar with this other show, but it's called You. I think Kristen was talking about it.
Oh, the
so-
Netflix one. People say I look like that guy, which I think it feels weird to me that people would say
I
that.
kind of see
No.
it.
Well,
You don't
Anyway,
wanna-
what I've always seen people on the Dexter Reddit saying, oh, man, I would love to see Dexter take out that guy. It's like, oh,
That'd be crazy.
that'd be
Just-
internet breaking, I'd say.
That would
but
definitely.
I don't
break the
think they
internet.
would do that. They don't have the rights to that, but
No,
that'd be interesting.
That'd be so funny though. They just find some random dude that is the same actor but hired to look like someone else, and they kill him.
But also, it has
That'd be so
nothing to do
funny.
with Dexter this season, anyways. So it doesn't make
Sure.
any sense for that to happen. But
Yeah.
anyways,
Well, all right. We talked about so many fucking things, guys. let's
big
how about we give everybody a break. Let's do our 1 minute one shot, and we'll call it after that. Well, we're now moving into this 1 minute one shot. One of us is going to take the role of the DM and create a simple or complex obstacle that we have to attempt to solve. And for this month, Zack,
It's me.
take it away.
Yeah, this one. Okay, so I wrote this one down. It's a little involved, a little high concept. Just bear with me, and I'm curious how you guys are gonna feel about this one. I'm pretty proud of it. Okay, so the king has died. He died in his sleep, his own bed. Everyone suspects murder, as he was in good health, moderate age. However, whatever killed him is untraceable. It is as if whatever did the deed vanished like a ghost. You know this because as the king's most trusted adventurers, you were called in as the first to investigate the scene. You were a party of 4 level 10 adventurers and heroes of some renown. Your party stands in the king's chambers alone with the body. Everyone except for the rogue, who is up to who knows what. And this is so typical of the rogue. Remember that time they got you lost in the forest attacked by druids? Remember when they sang to the Dwarven Enclave when you wanted to go to the end of the forest? Remember that time they got caught sleeping with a princess from enemy lands and they almost got you executed? Not to mention all the countless traps and alarms and ambushes they've triggered. You guys are over it. So done with this shit. Your party comes to an agreement immediately. You have about 10 minutes with the crime scene before a guard comes to see and hear your findings. In the meantime, you're gonna pin this murder on the rogue.
Oh,
How do you do it?
I love it. Oh, man.
I do love this because this is the conclusion to this year-long story arc that we've created for the
True.
Rogue. I feel like we've completed the first season of our podcast.
This is phase
Sure.
1 of the
Yeah.
Rogue.
Yeah, no, I think this is the
phase one
first
of the
season
because we
after this.
Well, I know what
think
my 1 minute one shot's gonna be after this one then.
the structure of this podcast is going to be different.
True.
the,
We're
the structure of the
entering a
podcast is
new
gonna be
age.
different. Also, like we did a full year worth of podcast. This is the first.
So I did.
This is the start of the new one.
The
Mhm.
scheduling got fucked up, but I did write this for the anniversary of our podcast, so it
Oh,
ties in. Like,
sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Level
So-
10, you say?
frame a guy on. You have 10 minutes for level 10. Frame a guy.
Well, no, I'm only on step 1.
I'm thinking of, okay, we're level 10. I'm thinking of creating like a homunculus that looks like the rogue and having them run out and then saying, "Quick, the killer just came out of the closet, get them!" And then have the homunculus be able to escape and then take away the homunculus and
Not
then
bad.
they just look for that same person. That's what I'm thinking, but I don't know if
Okay.
I can actually cast homunculus. I mean, I guess you could just do an illusion at that point, but I feel like there'd be
Think it over. Come up with, I like where your head's at.
looking at create homunculus right now just to see what level it is. It's a 6th level. I think you have access to 6th level at 10th. I love this idea though. So good.
Oh, I gotta say, I'm pretty proud of this one. Not to toot my own horn, but I'm happy with it.
Toot your own horn, do it. Ah, you don't have access to create homunculus at 10th level. Oh well. Then I guess in that case I would create an illusion using a major image just to make sure that we could get like a really good illusion.
Detailed. Okay.
And I would then use that illusion to bolt out of the room, and I would make sure that another person, so I'd have like a warlock and a wizard. I'd have the wizard use clairvoyance to see outside of the hallway, that way we could make sure that everything is ready to go.
Okay.
And then once it is, send that out, have them dip out of the the window nearby, be like, "This is what he looked like," and then
I mean,
Pen-
like I said, you guys are well known by, like, you're heroes. Everybody knows what the rogue looks like. Also, everybody
okay.
knows this guy.
Okay, that
So-
changes things. I see.
But no, that's what I'm like. If you send an illusion out of him, people would recognize.
Sure. But then they would be like, "Well, why did he go against you guys or whatever?"
Something to think about.
Okay.
All right.
Here's my plan. Okay, so we're a team of 4, but the rogue's not here, so that means there's 3 of us.
Correct.
So that leaves the paladin, the wizard, and a ranger.
Okay.
So the paladin's gonna turn around. He can't watch this happen. He's not gonna stop it.
Why would you
but
give
he's just
yourself
gonna
a
turn
paladin
around?
if you're gonna?
Because this is my team. God
Far
damn
be
it!
it from me to
And
stop you.
there's
Do
always
it.
a paladin, and he's
Sure.
not going to participate.
Hey, I
so
can't argue
the paladin's going to turn around.
I love a self-handicap.
Meanwhile, the wizard and the ranger are going to very quickly rifle through the king's quarters, and they're going to take everything of value. They're going to cut the coin purses. They're going to leave some coins behind, like maybe drop some coins on the floor, take everything else. Okay. So we're going to make it look like this was a smash and grab.
Okay.
Then the ranger is going to pull out, a dagger and is just going to like haphazardly try to stab in the chest as if he's trying to hit the heart, but miss entirely and then cut his neck as if, someone incompetent perhaps were in here. Meanwhile, while that's going on, the wizard is gonna walk outside because presumably, of course, there must have been like a guard or something on watch. They didn't see anything, but there was someone out there.
Yeah.
And he's just gonna cast suggestion, and he's just gonna say, "Hey, do you think it's possible that you could have seen?" And then he's just going to describe the rogue exactly. And then he's going to be like, wait, what is that over there? And then the guy is going to look, and he's going to toss some of these coins that they've just stolen from the king's quarters and go, look, see, the coins is leading this way. This is the way the rogue must have escaped. And then ultimately, when our band of heroes leads, the king's guard or whatever to the rogue, we're going to attempt a pickpocket or a stealth check, dexterity check to see if we could slip some of the king's personal belongings into the rogue's pockets.
All right.
Just to seal the deal.
Sure. It's very, I like it. It's very elaborate, but well thought out. I think it's
rob
good.
the place, stab him, but make it look incompetent, cast suggestion on the guard, plant the evidence on the rogue. These are the 4 steps.
Solid.
And the paladin sees none of it. So he's not lying when he says he doesn't know what happened.
I know what I'm going to do now. I got it. I'm piggybacking off of Daniel a little bit.
That's okay. It's a brilliant idea. So.
Do you want to go while Ryan's thinking?
Sure. So my previous plan, of course, was merely just an idea. But of course now, after working with my group, I was able to come to the conclusion that even though we have everybody think that it's the rogue will never think that, and he might be able to get out of it. Who knows? So what we're going to do is, once we have the initial illusion running out, then we are going to cast... what's the spell? Scry. Scrying. Okay. We're going to find where the rogue is. Then the bard is going to go there and cast Modify Memory.
That's what I was trying to find that spell.
They're going to think that they did it themselves.
Ooh.
And then when they finally get captured, they can't do anything about it because they thought that they actually poisoned the king.
Interesting.
I don't know if
that was this 5th level. Yeah, you can do it. That was my idea. I was trying to find where the spell was. I couldn't find it. I spent this entire time looking for Modify Memory.
But here's the question, though. Even if he thinks he did it, would he confess?
Well, here's what my idea was. Here's what my idea was.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
So my idea, I was just trying to make sure I could do it under 5th level, which I fucking didn't see that spell. Okay. So my idea was, same. You have a paladin, right? You have probably a cleric.
Shit.
And
this is the last one. Why don't we all work together?
As we can.
Oh well.
Is this the last
whatever.
1 minute one shot?
It's yours.
It's just the end of
it's yours.
The end of the phase.
Take it away, Ryan.
So the idea is you have the wizard, paladin. The 3rd class doesn't quite matter as much, but basically, they come to the conclusion, okay, we're gonna pin this on the rogue, so that you cast Modify Memory on the rogue, and then the wizard will cast. Actually, it's concentration. We'll have the paladin.
Well,
Kinda
the concentration is while you're casting it to make sure that it solidifies.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Never mind. Anyway, so they cast that, and then they're gonna put the wizard's gonna cast Wall of Force around the rogue to keep him contained, or some other similar spell to restrain, to make sure that they don't sleight of hand get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then while the rogue's confused, you call the guards in. It's like, hey, I think we're sad to say I think it was one of us that did it. And then they cast Zone of Truth.
There
on
it
the
is.
Rogue.
Yep.
Ooh.
That was it. I knew that it was. I knew you were going there.
That's
Once you said
strong.
paladin. Yeah. That would be good.
Yeah,
That's
that was
pretty good.
That was the combo.
And then even
was those
cast-
two.
Even casting suggestion.
I was thinking suggestion also.
You want to tell them what happened.
Heck, I mean, you could do that all three in tandem, because you want to have Modify Memory, so if anybody looks into their mind, you see that it was that, and then and then you want Zone of Truth so they admit it. But if they don't admit it, you can say suggestion also to force it.
Because for Zone of Truth, you don't have to talk.
Yeah,
And even if the rogue wouldn't, then that suggestion would make sure that they did.
that was my combination of ideas. I just could not find the spell.
The Modify Memory.
I was trying to think. I knew there was a spell out there. I was thinking of the one initially where you can do like Mind Fortress, where you take a thought out, because you can absorb those memories. I was just trying to figure out what the opposite of that was, and I didn't find it. But yeah,
But we did together.
we did.
And we
And,
solved
like-
this murder together by pinning it on somebody.
Got rid of that.
Who the real murderer is? Who fucking cares? We don't.
They got
we don't
away
give a
with it.
Fucking
Good for
We
them.
don't give a shit
You
anymore.
know, like honestly,
oh, that brings it up though. Ooh.
Now,
Then we
here's the
actually
question,
have
though.
to-
Here's
then we
the
actually have to
question,
solve
though, about Zone of Truth, which is the problem with the wording of the spell, which is it specifies until the spell ends. A creature that enters the spell must first, make a charisma saving throw. On a failed save, a creature can't speak a deliberate lie. If a character does not know that what they are saying is a lie, is it a lie?
it's not deliberate.
No,
But you know what I'm saying?
no,
Like,
because
it is,
and their memory thinks it's the truth. So I
Right.
don't.
Their memory was modified.
But in terms of
to-
I guess it depends on how you think of the spell Zone of Truth. Because the way I've always kind of thought of it is like there's some kind of like greater holy power that prevents things that are false from being spoken.
Oh, I see.
You know what
you're
I'm saying? As
You're saying
opposed
that
to
a lie cannot be told no matter what the circumstances
Yes.
are, rather than what you believe to be a lie.
Exactly. I don't know
Well-
if that could be I don't know how that spell works or not, or if that's a question that people if that's a question anyone's ever asked about Zone
If
of
you
Truth
look at
before.
it with the idea that there's a higher power that holds it to being that way, then I say sure, I wouldn't work. But I think
Then
I think in
we
this
would
situation,
be in that position. Did you kill him? And then he says no in the Zone of Truth, and we're like, so.
Well, and so here's the thing though, is if you cast it and you're in the radius, or if someone asks that question and they are in the radius and they say, like, if you you could end up screwing yourself.
well, don't
Yeah.
step in the zone of truth. You would cast.
Ooh, wait, someone did ask a Zone of Truth while brainwashed.
Okay.
What happens if a character's brainwashed believes something, casts Zone of Truth to tell if he's lying?
I would say it works. That's
The
how I would-
top-rated comment says
would
the
too.
truth is relative. If someone completely believes
Yeah.
they're speaking the truth, they will tell it.
That's how
A
I would
third level spell
rule.
will not give you omnipotence to find the truths of the world. It just tells you if someone's lying. So
Yeah,
I think
makes
that
sense.
could be up to the DM's discretion and how their theology works. I can
Sure.
see it going either way. We'll trust this top comment for now and for the purposes of this little skit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, normally I have you guys like roll a dice to see your level of success, but anything short of like a failed save, your guys' plans seem pretty foolproof. So I think I can't.
I would say maybe roll a charisma save for the Zone of Truth.
I mean, I
See
guess,
if
but
the rogue can actually.
if you want to, see how it goes.
I got a 10. It's probably too low for a
level 10 character. Yeah.
level 10 caster.
Yeah,
So
then,
there you go. They
point,
fail.
You just say like, "Well, he failed, so he's lying."
Yeah.
No,
Sick. We fucking
yeah,
killed
you guys-
the rogue.
man, you guys nailed his ass.
Yeah, we did. All right.
The
well,
plot twist was
it
it
worked.
actually was the rogue.
It could have been.
Right.
We'll never know. Who is this mystery assassin waiting in the shadow?
check out
Could it be?
1 minute one shots for next season.
Phase 2.
All right, this is our spoilers part for the Spider-Man No Way Home. If you haven't seen it yet, stop listening now. We'll give you a second. Go watch it.
3 hours to go to the theater and watch it.
Go ahead.
Okay, starting now.
Oh, okay, here we go.
Daredevil's back, guys! Charlie Cox is
Oh,
Daredevil. I'm
Daredevil's
so
back.
excited.
Yo,
It's so
Daredevil's
good. It was so quick. It was like the first 5 minutes. I lost my
It
goddamn
was
mind.
great. It was great. Oh my god, it was so the amount of reveals that they had in this movie. The theater that we had, that I was in at least, literally erupted into
Oh,
cheers.
yeah, it popped off
every
in our
single time.
Yeah.
Daredevil, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield. It went insane.
Mhm.
And it was just
See,
it was
I'm
great every single
thankful
time.
for at least
With great power, there must also come great responsibility. So many things.
Yeah. Mhm.
the one thing I'm thankful for, at least at the theater that Zach and I went to, was unlike some of the YouTube clips I've been seeing uploaded from the movie itself, because I've seen them upload and then they get deleted so fast, but you can still watch them if you refresh YouTube enough to see the new ones. So I've already seen like several parts of the movie again already. I've seen the final battle like 3 or 4 times now, from the 3 or 4 times I've seen it uploaded.
Yeah.
What I'm thankful for, though, is during those reveals, our theater, cheered and stuff like that, but it was quick. You could
Yes.
actually
Yeah.
hear everything that
Yes.
happened.
Yeah,
The only
and
thing-
those-
Off, and then they shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
so
the
we
only
don't hear
same
what
with
was
mine.
happening.
Same
It
with
was
mine.
Andrew Garfield when he first got in there, because everybody, like, once you saw Spider-Man and he wasn't moving, you were like,
Yeah.
no way, this is it, confirmation. And then you saw
Yeah.
him get there, everybody cheered out, and I missed the line that he said, and that was it. And then everything else, like, it shut the fuck
Sure.
up. And I'm sure it was just a throwaway line because they knew that this was gonna happen anyways.
I mean, heck, the way that Tobey Maguire acted when he walked through was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
God, dude.
real quick, before we kind of dive into all the things, who's your guys' favorite live action Spider-Man?
Okay, I know that everybody's gonna hate it, but Andrew Garfield.
No,
really
I
liked.
agree with you. That is the
Okay,
answer.
cool. Okay,
Wow.
cool, yeah. I really liked Andrew Garfield. I
So-
thought that he was a great Spider-Man. I'm just super sad that Sony fucking sucked at
Great
writing
Spider-Man
movies.
in some bad movies.
Yeah.
That's fair. I grew up with the Raimi ones, like we all did. I think Toby's great. I honestly, like, earlier in the episode, Daniel, you said you skipped Homecoming.
Yes.
I know, Ryan, you don't care for it that much, but personally, I think it's my favorite Spider-Man movie. I think it's really, really fun. Like, it's a good fucking movie, man.
I liked it. I really
It's like
liked it.
It's just a fun.
I don't think it's a bad
Spider-Man
movie. I don't think it's a
Yeah.
bad movie.
I get what you're saying about like the characterization of Spider-Man. I don't have a whole lot of attachment to that, so I think just
Mhm.
the events that play out in Spider-Man: Homecoming are a romp, super fun. I love it.
I agree.
I'll probably say Tom Holland, honestly.
Okay.
My
Hey,
favorite
that's a good
Spider-Man.
answer.
I think he's great. I do think out of the 3 in this movie, though, Andrew Garfield was.
Well, gave the
Probably
fucking.
the
Well,
best.
he's okay. Let's be
He gave a
honest.
great-
Of the 3, he is the most competent actor. Again, no shade to
Sure.
Tom Holland or Tobey Maguire. They're obviously incredibly successful, very talented performers. Andrew Garfield is on another level. I don't
Yeah,
feel like I'm
that's probably-
overstepping by saying that.
I don't have a lot of experience or opinions on that. I'll defer to you. I agree with you. I do want to say, like, those are my experiences with the Tom Holland and Raimi ones. I've watched Amazing Spider-Man. I don't remember them for shit.
That's
and
because
I really
they were
don't
awful.
remember.
They're relatively
I
unmemorable.
really don't
That's-
have a lot of attachment to Andrew Garfield.
Andrew
as a
Garfield
Spider-Man.
references it. He's like, "Man, you guys are way cooler than me." And
Yeah,
I was
no,
like,
I know.
"Yeah,
Well, so
Andrew,
that's the
you're
thing.
right."
Like,
That being
Even
said,
though I-
though, sorry to cut you off. The Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man 2, the entire final battle between him and the Green Goblin is the epitome of perfect Spider-Man combat in film.
Agreed.
Don't remember.
So
No,
totally.
not to say that those two movies didn't have good parts, but they had too many bad parts to make it.
I mean, yeah,
any
I
good.
don't disagree with you.
They were all messed up. Well, there was the whole subplot about Peter Parker's parents, which like I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
that's unimportant to me. But you know.
I mean,
but he was quippy. He was funny. He was
Yeah.
the way I envisioned him because the Spider-Man I grew up with, I got to the Raimi movies slightly later in life. The first Spider-Man I feel like I really got to spend time with was the early 90s animated cartoon, which for me is sort of like the epitome of like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I feel like Andrew Garfield is the closest live action version of like that dude.
I agree.
All I was trying to say is like, as attached as I am to Toby and Tom, I have like base level 0 attachment to Andrew Garfield. But in this movie, he was the one I was focusing on. He's the most fun to watch in this movie.
But Ryan,
really liked his performance.
I need your answer on best live action Spider-Man.
I will start off this by not answering the live action question, but saying what I think is the best version of Spider-Man that we've seen outside of the comics. And I'm going to say that it's between two. The Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon is a very, very well done Spider-Man story.
That's what I'm talking about, right? The 90s?
No.
Nope.
I was confused about this too. This came later. This is like
Spectacular
2011.
Spider-Man. Nope. This was during
2007.
2000. Yeah, mid 2000s. It came out right after Spider-Man 3.
Gotcha.
It had a different art style to it that grew on you as you went on. What I'll say,
that's not the one that Drake Bell.
No, that's the one that this show got canceled to make that show, which is why it's so stupid.
Gotcha.
So Ultimate Spider-Man, garbage. Didn't care for it very much because it wasn't a Spider-Man show. It was a superhero Young Friends show. That's what that show was because
Like
it was
a Teen
Spider-Man.
Titans.
Yeah, which don't call it Ultimate Spider-Man. Call it Young Avengers or whatever the fuck they were trying to be because it wasn't Spider-Man. And then the other, I'm gonna say one of the worst iterations of Spider-Man, which I hadn't watched much of it, but I also didn't care for any of it because I didn't like any of the characters or the art itself. But the newest Spider-Man cartoon, which was just called Marvel Spider-Man, which was coming on like Disney XD, that show trash. To me, anyways.
And we're talking about Spider-Man Peter Parker specifically.
Yes.
Because I love Miles Morales in Into the Spider-Verse.
Well, yeah, Into the Spider-Verse, that's a whole other kettle of fish.
Sure,
Obviously, that's an incredible...
Sure.
Honestly, I'm really excited for Into the Spider-Verse 2 as well, because I'm hoping that they bring in Spectacular Spider-Man, because that'd be great.
We're going to get so many Spider-Peoples.
Heck, even if they bring in the 3 live-action ones to that movie, I'd be happy with that.
I want Madam Web, but that's a topic for another time.
Anyways, so between the 2 versions of Spider-Man, I said Spectacular Spider-Man's one of the best ones. The other best one is the Spider-Man PS4 game Spider-Man. That is the other best
a great
iteration.
Yeah, that's a really good answer.
Parker.
Yeah.
As far as the live action ones go, Tobey Maguire is great for all of the things that he's did in the trilogy that he had. There's not a single moment in that trilogy where he doesn't feel like Spider-Man or a superhero, which is amen to them for doing such a great job with that and, really kickstarting the superhero movie genre.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing Spider-Man 1 with Andrew Garfield. Didn't care for that one as much either. Like, the action in it is okay. It's pretty decent for feeling like Spider-Man. The only problem I've always had with Andrew Garfield in the first one is he never does anything like Tobey Maguire, where he feels like a superhero.
Right.
Like, the biggest thing he does in that movie is, save the kid from a car dangling off of a bridge. So if you've seen that movie, that's the most heroic thing. The whole movie, he's out there hunting the killer for Uncle Ben, which they resolve in the Raimi Spider-Man 1 in literally the first 30 minutes of the movie. So
yeah.
That's my conflict with that.
Until Spider-Man 3, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I think that was...
Yeah.
Well, yes, they
There's
retcon that Sandman is the one that actually killed Uncle Ben.
Right.
But I'm talking about as far as like actually
Right.
resolving that plot
Yeah.
line and making him actually a hero. It was the first 30 minutes, and then
Which that was cool to see him in this one.
Mm-hmm. I like
Yeah.
it.
Anyways.
Tom Holland, like I said earlier. Well, so going back to Amazing Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2 was a great Spider-Man movie. Andrew Garfield came to his point where he was a great Spider-Man. Like, the entire opening sequence to that movie, perfect Spider-Man, perfect everything. The movie, goes through all these different plots that are non-important and kind of drag the whole movie down. The way they handle Electro was garbage, and they resolved that in this movie, which is great.
Thank God.
Yes, thank God. Oh my God.
The final act of this movie, also, chef's kiss for Amazing
Talking
Spider-Man
about
2.
the new one.
No, Amazing Spider-Man 2.
The fight. I thought you were talking about like the very end when they cut before they fought, and I was like, that was literally the worst
that was
thing
stupid.
ever.
I was honestly,
so bad.
I was kind of hoping they're going to resolve that in this movie too by having him whip through a portal right as that
rhino.
happened, because I think that would have been a really great way to make it like, oh, you can't see what
that would have
happened.
been really funny.
Yeah, because
that was the worst ending.
Oh yeah, like he
ever.
pops up from him, he's like, and then the portal he teleports back or something.
Yeah.
That would have been funny.
Yeah,
They kind of resolved it where he said that he fought him and like
What
that
a
was
guy
it,
in a
but like
rhino
still it's like
machine.
Anyways,
Yeah.
now for the question though, because I already talked about Tom Holland's versions of the movies earlier in the episode. My favorite Spider-Man has to be. I think my favorite Spider-Man will be Tom Holland.
sure.
But right now, they're all pretty tied.
Okay.
And I think this movie did a really good job at making them all equally as important. I mean,
Yeah.
they all have scene-stealing lines, really.
Yeah.
And No Way Home. But
Yeah.
I think how they set up Tom Holland to be will be why he's my favorite.
Sure.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think if they continue with the line they establish, with where we leave Peter Parker at the end of this movie, then he'll officially become the Spider-Man that I always wanted him to be. The reason why I was always a little bit more invested in the Andrew Garfield and the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is because I do like seeing him on his own struggling. I mean, releasing him from the Avengers, allowing him to exist almost kind of on his own, I think is the best possible thing they could have done.
Yeah.
Because it stops making him a sidekick.
Yeah. I agree.
Speaking of Avengers, though, that's like one of the best lines in the movie when he's saying,
I'm one of
"You
the
guys,
Avengers."
I'm with the Avengers, and they're just so hyped and they're so excited for him.
That's so cool. What is that?
Are you in a band?
In my opinion, the funniest line of the movie with all three of them is when Ned's like, "Oh, Peter," and they're all like, "No, we're all Peter," and he's like, "No,
Yeah.
Peter Parker." And they're like, "Nope, that's still we're all," and he's like, "Spider-Man." They're like, "Nope, no, you're still," and it goes on just long enough, like it goes on longer than you'd expect, and just long enough that it becomes like so fucking funny to me.
Yeah. No, that was a good line. One thing I did want to talk about was how much of a gaslight Doctor Strange was when he was casting the spell. Like, he didn't even explain fucking shit to Peter. He was just like, all right, now we're going to cast a spell and everybody's going to forget that you're Spider-Man. And he's like, whoa, that's not what I wanted. That was never what I wanted. And he's like, oh, okay, fine. Then I'll do it again. And then he says, one person. It's like, dude.
Couldn't they just stop for
To
a
be
second?
fair-
and, like,
blamed him
talk
on
it
it.
out?
And
To be fair,
blamed
that's a
him.
total like canon Doctor Strange like
Sure.
move. He's such
Sure.
a fucking dickhole. He doesn't attempt to explain or clarify anything. He just does stuff because he assumes he's the
He's a
smartest guy in the
character.
room. So
Absolutely.
I liked that dynamic, and I was also like, we gotta make the movie happen somehow. So let's
Sure.
just make it happen.
I'm not saying anything bad about it. I'm only saying that he is the biggest fucking gaslighter ever, because immediately when it happened and he casted the whole thing, right? He's like, this is your fault, Peter Parker. And he's like, what the fuck did I do? I was the one
he's a
casting the
dickhead.
spell.
He's a dickhead all movie.
It is
in the best way.
100%.
Yeah.
And then I loved when MJ clapped back at him and he was like, please clean this
Yes.
shit up. And then you could tell that he was like, all right, I'm being unfair, but still, Yeah, no, that was really cool.
So something I like is how they did handle that line, because that line was so stupid in the freaking trailer. Which Johnny, you don't watch trailers, so you didn't see it. But there's a stupid line where he just says, "Please Scooby-Doo this stuff up," and they had that interaction between him and MJ. But it was stupid because there wasn't the pre-context for them to actually investigate.
Do this shit.
Sure.
So it was just like a line in there for the trailer, but they resolved it in a way that makes it not
better.
Cringy. Because it was so cringy in the trailer. But
better. A lot of cuss words in this movie. You don't notice that?
Yeah,
You know,
I did.
what-
I felt like there were a lot of shits, dams, ass.
A lot of shits and asses.
His mug said, "What the fox" or something like.
Yes, it did. No, there was a picture of a fox. He's like,
What was it though?
I think it was what the fox.
They're
like,
for
what the
fox's
fuck,
sake.
whatever.
For
yeah,
fox's
there we
sake,
go.
that's
For
what it
fox's
was.
sake, that's what it
For
was. You're
fox's
right.
sake, that's what it was. Yeah.
That's
Which,
nice.
anyways, I thought that was pretty funny.
in my reading through Reddit of different things that people were saying during the time where the spell is breaking in the very first act of the movie, I didn't notice any of it myself. But apparently, when you're looking through those cracks, you see all of these other different Spider-Man villains.
Creatures.
Yeah, so you see
I thought that was referencing the end of the movie.
Well, you see more of that then also. No, but
Interesting.
apparently when the spell first breaks, if you are looking at it in the right place, which I want to go back and see more so I can,
Yeah.
look at it. But you can see Black Cat, like a silhouette of Black Cat. You
Interesting.
see the lizard right before he comes through.
I thought I saw Rhino.
You see Rhino.
You see Rhino.
Okay,
I know
cool.
you see him at the end because I definitely remember seeing
Missed
him.
that.
Which I
during
didn't
the
see. I
climax.
didn't see any, but the only person I saw in the end part when the fabric realities is splitting is there's a person that holds a trident, which I think has later been told to me that it is Kraven. But
Yeah,
you
no,
got
I
Scorpion.
definitely saw Rhino then. Yeah.
Rhino's there. Scorpion's apparently there. The lizard is also another version of the lizard is also up there. Yeah, there's a whole handful of them that are all in the cracks.
That
of
makes
reality.
sense. And okay, so going to the idea of that crack of reality. Everybody that knows that who Peter Parker is the ones that are coming in, right?
Yes.
So why was you know what? I want to ask this, but I haven't seen Venom 2,
It's
so
a
I don't
spoiler
know.
for Venom 2. So yes.
I don't. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if.
Is
Venom
You know what? This really isn't a
knew who Peter
spoiler. This
Parker
isn't a spoiler. Venom, for whatever reason, the symbiote has access to knowledge of other Venom symbiotes in other universes.
Okay.
It's
So
how
then,
yeah,
got
we
it.
talk
Okay.
about-
Because I was gonna say, like, he doesn't know who Peter Parker is. How does
Venom
he know?
does.
But then
Venom
again,
he doesn't. Yeah,
Venom doesn't know why he knows him, though.
correct.
He's
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So then the next thing I want to say is, why did Venom stay behind?
Don't even go
Because
there. We don't
I'm not-
need to. It doesn't make sense.
It
They
doesn't.
want to get the symbiote into the
Cool,
MCU
man.
continuity.
Believe me, when I saw that happen, I was like, that is fucking sick. We
yeah,
get Venom.
but it
Let's
makes
go.
no sense. But
And
makes
then
zero sense.
Kristen right next to me was like, wait, but that doesn't. And I was
No,
like,
it
and then
doesn't.
I literally said the exact same thing. I was like, it doesn't fucking matter. We get Venom.
See,
And
I
then that was it.
think I'm totally fine. Other than just wiping away wasting, I'm fine with it. I think it's fine because you can look at it. There is symbiotes in the MCU in the universe somewhere, and so
Yeah.
it's like a piece of it
Yeah.
being in this universe, and it just
Yeah.
is now on Earth now. I think that's the only
Yeah.
difference. You can just say Eddie Brock is the one that was sucked in and ejected out, but the symbiote is fine because it was part of the universe. If that.
I love that he was drunk
So-
in Mexico just talking shit about what the
Yeah.
fuck was going
Can I
on
talk
in the
about-
world.
that
Can I
was-
talk about Venom for a second?
Yeah, you go. And then I have a
I-
question after that.
And I want to make a point about switch gears, but after your question. In a movie that has like Charlie Cox Daredevil's back, Willem Dafoe's back, fucking the Spider-Man are all back, feels like a real cock block to just like yank Venom out of yank Tom Hardy out of the universe. Like, I don't know if you guys saw Venom 2, but at the end of
I
it,
actually haven't.
it doesn't
I
matter
haven't
because anything that happens in Venom 2,
But I
you
wanna
see
watch
in this
it.
movie. At the
Yeah.
the stinger for Venom 2, Venom 2 has fuck all to do with the MCU until the stinger when he gets like universe jumped over to ours and he like sees the J. Jonah Jameson broadcast on TV and then he's like, I know this kid. And Eddie Brock's like, why do you know this kid? And he's like, I don't know, but something about this kid's important. And I fucking popped off. Oh, hell yeah, Tom Hardy Venom is in here. Like, I love Tom Hardy Venom. Those
And then
movies
they
are
just
so
did the exact
stupid.
same thing.
They're great. and then they just like yank it out. They're like, no,
Yeah.
never mind. We're gonna cast someone else.
Interesting.
Do
See,
some other shit. And
Here's why I
that.
think that is, and there's a really funny interaction. I mean, all the interactions between the Spider Bros is what I'm calling them, is hilarious. I think that is the best part of the movie, is their interactions, and I'm really happy with how much of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield was in the movie. They weren't just in there for the fight at the end. They were in there for the entire.
They're like full
second
characters.
act. They were there. They were there from. I as soon as I saw them pop up, I checked on my phone to see how far in the movie it was. It was exactly halfway through.
I was gonna say the last half of the movie, because they hit right at the climax of the second act, which is when Aunt May dies. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Aunt May dies.
That's a
which
fucking
I
brutal
went
scene.
We're
into
already
the
in the
movie.
spoilers. We're good.
I went into the movie with that spoiler already in my head. I already knew that happened.
I had no idea.
That
was
scene
rough.
wrecked me.
Which so many.
Yeah,
so
it did.
I went into this
No.
movie with so many spoilers already known, but it didn't ruin any enjoyment from it. Unlike Endgame or Infinity War, where you knew Iron Man died or you know, all the people who get dusted. Like, this doesn't
It did.
ruin that. I mean, I can't only imagine how cool it'd be to go into the movie completely blind, but that's impossible to do because even before the movie,
I went in. I did not have any. I went. It was totally blind.
well, here's the thing though. So like, even if you've avoided all the trailers, you can't avoid it all because even before the movie, there's like a regal preview of all the movies that are coming out, and there's a quick little section that shows all the bad guys coming at Spider-Man. It's like, you literally can't avoid it.
I mean, I knew about that shit, but I didn't. I was.
Well, I
blind
know,
about
but
it.
that's what I'm saying. If you could,
And
go into it
I
completely blind.
willfully believed that Andrew Garfield was not in the film because he
Same.
said he wasn't, and
Also,
I didn't
talking
want to.
about gaslighting.
I didn't
I saw that- I
didn't
saw
want
that
to build
interview.
it up in my. I didn't want to build up. I didn't want to come to the movie with my idea of what I wanted it to be and then be really disappointed. So I just
I had the same
assumed he
thing.
probably wasn't in it. I assumed they were going to get Toby and not Andrew, and I was very excited.
I was actually the opposite. I thought if anybody was going to be in there, Andrew Garfield would, and Tobey Maguire wouldn't. I thought that. But
Actually, I think somebody said on Twitter, like, we're not gonna. It was like a producer was like, don't expect either of them, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess they're not doing it. And so I went in like expecting neither, and I got both. It was
Yeah.
bad.
I mean, during the beginning of the movie, I didn't expect to get either of them. I was just like, okay, they're just doing the villains. That makes sense. That's fine. Whatever. Cool.
Yeah.
The only spoilers that I had going in were Doc Ock and Green Goblin because they're on the fucking cover.
They're-
When you
That's
hear
the
the
only reason
laugh
why.
in the trailer and whatever.
Right.
He doesn't watch trailers.
I forgot what I was gonna say. The scene that fucking wrecked me was when Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man caught MJ.
Yeah.
Correct.
And
That
you
is
could
the correct answer.
God.
That's probably the best scene in the movie.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
I like you could fucking feel it. Like
Well,
and
yeah,
it just
that was-
speaks volumes for Andrew Garfield and just how he spoke without speaking. Fuck, dude, just the best. I
was
would say
great.
the best scene in that entire movie was right
I
then
said it
because
last
that's like
night
one of
when
the
we were
most
talking
that I
about it.
remember.
I think it's my favorite scene in the movie. I think that is representative of like the movie as a whole, and my favorite part about the entire thing is it's super meta. It's
Mhm.
it's like you said, it's assuming that you've watched all the movies. Willem Dafoe looks at the fucking screen and says the meme, and
Yes.
that's fun.
God,
Yeah.
that was so
It was such a.
good.
It was
It
so
was-
good. I didn't realize, I didn't realize how bad I wanted him to say that. And then after he said it, it tickled that part of my brain where I'm like, oh yeah, he says that in that
You know, I
movie.
consider
I like-
myself a
I was like, I
scientist.
can't believe
or
the
whatever it
Mad
was.
Lads actually did it. But I think all of that, like, represents my favorite thing about this movie is that it's a sequel to Far From Home, but it's also Amazing Spider-Man 3
Yes.
and Spider-Man 4
Yes.
all in one movie. It's a sequel to all three.
It
like,
made me.
series.
It made me glad that there wasn't an Amazing Spider-Man 3 because
Yeah.
I don't think they could have given me as
Mhm.
satisfying a conclusion
And
to
not
Andrew
just
Garfield's character arc
Yeah.
as they did with this.
Completely
Seeing
agree.
the payoff of how dark he went after losing Gwen Stacy and seeing him, even if I don't get a lot of in between now and then. I mean, I guess, context movie-wise, not that much happened, but in terms of the years I know that it took between that movie and now, like assuming that amount of time seemingly passed for him as well, like watching him come to terms with that and get over that.
7
I mean, it
years.
was just like, it was
Which isn't that
and
long.
also seeing like
in
old
hindsight.
Toby
No.
being old man Spider-Man.
I know, and being
all
like the
that.
wise Spider-Man,
Yeah.
bringing in his wisdom and
Like,
being
it's-
like,
And
hey
making
guys,
fun
I
of
went
his
through this
gross
exact-
natural web shooters, which
Yeah, that
again
was so
I was
funny.
like,
So
I
good.
really hope they talk about this. Then they did,
Right.
and I'm like, yes.
Yeah,
Yes!
when they started doing that, I was like, oh, thank God. And,
They know
and it
what
just
they're doing.
does it only come out of your writs, or that was such
You
a
guys
good
can't
line.
do
Very funny.
So good.
But like not
Um,
just the three Spider-Man, like it's conclusions to all of the villains' stories as well, and redemption for all of
God,
them.
Dr.
and, like,
Ock.
fixing all of them.
Dak
When
Ack.
they finally helped him like quiet the voices,
Yeah.
I felt the relief when he was just like, oh my God, it's quiet.
It happened a little early for me. I was like,
Sure.
okay, we solved this problem a little quick. I really like him as a villain, but but I'm not
It
complaining.
serves the story. We gotta get shit moving.
Exactly. I understand what they had to do.
I like the way they did it though. I think that the best way that they I think that was the best other than Electro, but Electro needed a redemption.
I mean, and they understood. They were like, okay, we know that if we solve Doc Ock as a villain in halfway through the film, then we've got to give you more Doc Ock as a villain early, which is why he's the first one that
Right.
ends up
Yeah.
I honestly
fighting Spider-Man.
thought-
So you still get that moment with him, which is what I wanted.
I was
Right.
kind of surprised they didn't just break his chip again. Honestly. I thought.
I know. I thought that Electro would have just like, and that's what,
Zapped it or
and I think
something,
that that's what they alluded to in the very end when
Oh,
like he
true,
was like,
yeah.
I
He
got
does the
this, and
double.
grabbed the Spider-Mans and then grabbed Electro because
Right.
to make
Yeah,
him
it was
think.
like a surprise. Yeah.
Yeah, but
It was a fake
I
out.
know. I don't know why they didn't, but I think one of
Yeah,
the things
it
is that
worked.
Doc Ock like yeeted all the way away from everybody else, and Electro didn't give a shit about him. So
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter to me so much.
Yeah.
I think I agree with everything that everybody said about what they thought the best part. And I don't know that what I'm about to say is my favorite part, because like I was thinking about it a long time last
I
night.
just want to say real quick, me and Ryan saw this together, and then we hung out the next night, and we were all talking about like, what's your favorite moment from the movie? And like, me and my buddy Sam said that like right away. We're like, oh, you know what? I really like this part. I think I said the part about him catching MJ, and then Ryan like stared off into the distance for about 20 minutes.
I still never
just
answered.
trying to think, and he never answered. He
I mean,
never
I could say
figure
that
it
about
out.
most parts of the movie. I could say are the best parts of the movie.
Yeah.
Like that's
You could
genuinely
argue
how
it.
I feel about
I think one of my favorite parts, so outside of like I said, of all the Spider Bro scenes together, like all those interactions were great. I think
Fuck
one of
all
the
that,
things
though,
I
he's
like-
a really good lawyer.
it. Oh yeah, fuck me.
Which
I love that so much.
I love that scene in general because like he's being a really good lawyer for Peter, and he doesn't have money for it or anything like that. He just volunteered, and then Happy's like, "So I need a lawyer." It's like, "Yeah, you're gonna need a really good lawyer," and he doesn't even help. He's like, "This is your problem." It's
Yeah.
like, oh man.
yeah.
Sorry to derail you. Go on.
Anyways, what I was gonna say is how I really liked how they handled the Green Goblin in general. Like,
Yes.
he was genuinely trying to help until he had that line that Doc Ock said that switched him.
Yeah.
And then it was such a subtle change in how they handled that was great. I loved his costume in this. They actually made his costume look finally cool.
So
Yeah.
cool.
Like,
They made him look like with the
It was cool with the hood
scavenger
and
kind of
everything.
look.
well,
was
I mean,
pretty
I like
sweet.
how they did it because he was wearing the clothes he got, and then it got
Yeah.
fucking shredded during
Yeah.
the fight at the loft. Anyways,
Yeah.
what I was
It
gonna
was
say
clever.
though is
It was
right
clever.
before that though, is when Peter's sense, like spider sense, went off, and he just the way they filmed it, where he
Yes.
Dude, that was
was
cool.
in a
Yes.
daze and he's trying to find out what the fuck is happening.
Because he knows he's surrounded by all these villains, but which villain is it that's
Yeah.
gonna do the fucked up thing?
Well, the thing is,
So cool.
the movie itself makes you think it's the lizard downstairs that's gonna start the shit.
Right.
I thought it was Electro. I thought when he was looking at Jamie Foxx and Jamie Foxx is like, "What the fuck you looking at?" I was like, "Is it gonna be him?" Like I wasn't sure which villain was gonna pop off.
Sure. I mean, yeah, they made you think that Electro could be possibly it too, but I liked how he finally pinpointed it and just stopped it
Yeah.
Yeah.
until
Well,
it didn't.
with the thing on his chest, I mean that scene was so
Sure.
there was so much tension leading into that.
Because you knew he was gonna rip it off. You
Well,
knew
there's so
he
much
was
more of the
going
movie.
to.
Something
Yeah.
bad's gonna happen here. What
Right.
what is it gonna be? How bad is it gonna get? And
Yeah.
the answer is as bad. But never mind.
Okay.
Oh, well, okay. So before I had read something where it was like there's a move from the video game.
Oh.
They'd said that there was going to be a move from the video game that they were going to put into the movie. and I think I saw it.
It is at the end, yeah.
Was it at the end? I thought it was in that middle bit when he was fighting with, because I thought that the move, because he did this kind of like slingshotty thing where he jumped into the air and then webbed the floor and then like catapulted his feet into Green Goblin and shot him through the floor.
I could have
sworn I remember doing that in the video game too.
And then at the very end with Green Goblin, he jumped on him and then like whoosh, broke him onto the ground. That one too.
Okay, good.
So there must have been two.
There must have been a couple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, nerdy fucking.
Cool. No, you're fine.
Easter egg shit.
That's a cool little Easter egg. I didn't even know that. And then now that I'm looking back at it, I'm like, I do remember that.
I'm looking forward to the fan edits that are going to happen where they put the little triangle circle above.
Yes.
Or is it triangle square?
Triangle square.
Yeah, so they're going to put those above people's heads during the movie.
Also, so one thing I wanted to talk about was, what did you guys think about the villain selection? Because it took me a minute to figure out exactly why they picked the villains they picked, because I realized it's one villain from every Spider-Man. So you've got Green Goblin for Spider-Man 1, you've got Doc Ock for 2, you've got Sandman for 3, you've got Lizard for Amazing 1, and you've got Electro for Amazing 2. So you've got one villain from each movie. Okay, great. That explains why it's this collection as opposed to like, obviously would have been great if we could get Venom. Obviously, I really wanted Osborn from Amazing Spider-Man to show up because I was like, if we could get 2 Green Goblins, like teaming up, like scheming, I was like, that could be really cool. But hey, like again, that's a different movie. But
my biggest critique of the final battle is it fell apart at the very end. Like, it makes sense why they did, because they wanted to give the emotional through line for Peter. What I really wanted, though, was I really wanted more glider action, because we didn't get any glider action against Green Goblin. Same. And that's what makes Green Goblin so interesting, is him flying through New York City. It would have been so cool to see him, like, them chasing through the city as he's causing damage.
Well, and obviously the glider when he kills Aunt May was brutal. Like I like that. That's how he killed her. Like that was very symbolic.
Which, speaking of which, I love how, obviously Tom Holland's Spider-Man was about to kill him, and he had the glider in his hand.
The glider.
And then Tobey Maguire stopped him, and then they did the fake out where they stab him, and they actually make you think like, oh fuck, they did kill him.
He's dead.
But then it's like, I've been stabbed before. Like, it's so fucking funny though.
Yeah. Once he stood in front of Tom Holland's Spider-Man, I was like, "Damn it, he's gonna fucking get stabbed." And then, sure enough, that happened.
That was my only critique. Is the thing I loved the most about Aunt May's death, which is a weird sentence to say, is that
is that she died.
No, is that in the MCU you don't watch someone get mortally wounded and then die without cutting or going off screen. That almost never happens. Someone will fall off something really high and you won't see their body, or like there's lots of ways that people get killed in the MCU, but rarely do you get to see the whole thing happen.
Sure.
And so getting to see her get hit, assume she's dead, go down, have her stand up, me and the audience be like, fucking Marvel can't commit to anything, and then be like, oh no, she is dead. This is actually like, this is way worse. They faked me out in the worst way, because I was already getting mad at them, and then they're like, haha, we got you. See, you wanted her to be dead, and now she is. How do you like that now? And I felt very bad, because I felt like Kevin Feige was like, just
solely responsible for it.
No, he was like, you wanted this, right? You wanted this to happen,
honestly,
so here you go.
I'm happy that they did, because I've always thought the comic, she's still alive in the comic, as far as I know. I'm pretty sure she is. Like
in most continuities,
and like she doesn't need to be.
No.
Yeah.
Well, that kicked off like Civil War, right? Because doesn't she die? In
no, she dies at the end. She dies
shit?
at the end of Civil War.
Yeah, there you go.
Because of him revealing his identity.
Sure.
And then basically this movie happened where he goes to Doctor Strange and he tries to fix it. He doesn't. He makes a deal with Mephisto, and Mephisto makes the deal like, okay, she'll come back to life, but you and Mary Jane never knew each other.
Right.
And that's basically, this movie.
Yeah. So, sorry, I got off track for just 1 minute, but what I wanted to say was that the only critique I had of the film, I liked Aunt May's death because they committed. I wish that they had killed off Tobey Maguire. I feel like that would have been a really powerful
Would've been great way
to end
moment.
it.
It would have been super ballsy. I understand why they didn't do it. Again, like they played it in their way. It worked absolutely. There's no critique there, and I think it would have made Tom Holland's arc way darker if he had then not only been responsible for the death of Aunt May, but in his attempt to enact revenge and do the thing that he knows Aunt May would have liked the least, and then have another person die because of that. That would have been,
Man, I don't know how
you know, just earth shaking.
Yeah.
They didn't do that. I kind of wish they had, but that would have been a different movie.
I'm glad that they didn't, because of two things. I know, like, the main reason they didn't is because they're gonna upset so many people that Tobey Maguire is their favorite, and then number two, it leaves it open-ended for more.
Of course.
And that's what I want. I would be super happy to see an official Amazing Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man 4, and the Far From Home next trilogy. I'd be fine to get all those movies.
Yeah,
and Marvel
continue
can
them
make
all.
so much money
That'd be fucking great.
doing all these different movies. They could have different
Really
production teams because
confusing for, like, old
it doesn't
people,
matter
but that's
if they're
fine.
how much they're working together because they can all be their own story.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why they couldn't do it.
That would be
I
cool.
would love to.
I don't know if that'll ever happen, but
I don't
that
think it will.
sounds fucking sweet.
If
I would
anything-
love to see a Tobey Maguire as his age now, what he's been through, like throwing flashbacks in and then having like some villain come back, you know? I would love to see that. That would be amazing.
I think-
just to see, and it would really remind me of like the Hawkeye kind of series where it'll ground it a lot more. I would love to see that.
I
That
would
a
be
great movie.
happy even if they did the Amazing Spider-Man and a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man comic continuation.
Sure.
I think that'd be great. One thing that I was disappointed about, which I'm not, it's fine. And the reason why I want more of it is because there wasn't a conclusion for them as much. I mean, they had their redemption arc, like Andrew Garfield had his catch, which was great. Tobey Maguire, helped save
was
his
mostly
villains.
there.
He was there, but I think what could have been really cool to see, and the reason why I think it might not be the end for either one of them potentially, is because they didn't have that conclusion. Like he said quickly goodbye to the two of them, and then they just vanished, right?
Yeah.
What I would have loved to see, and it would have only added 5 minutes of the runtime at most, would be them going back to their reality, and then like Andrew Garfield finding his MJ, like just not doing anything else other than just visually. They lock eyes or something like that, where they just settle back into their lives, and then you see Tobey Maguire with his MJ as they're married, has a kid. That'd be so many great things. They would resolve those stories. You would not need any more necessarily, if that makes sense.
Sure, but
I'm
in
fine if
your
those
sense,
characters never come back, but that's just me.
Well,
I mean, in your sense, it opens up an entire thing.
It would
now,
be cool.
It does.
I'm fine either way,
But
it
yeah,
would
I
be
think it would be really cool.
going back to something I was starting to say forever ago, and then we got sidetracked like by a lot.
cool. Like that.
This is when we were talking about Venom. This is how far back we got sidetracked.
Oh damn!
So, the reason why I don't think this is the end for at least Andrew Garfield is he had the very specific line as they're all talking about their past villains. It's like, and Tobey Maguire was saying, I fought an alien once. And I had to think about it for a second. Who the fuck did he, like, that's cool. He's talking about what happened after Spider-Man 3. And he's like, oh, he's actually talking about just Venom. That's fine.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
But then Tom Holland says, like, yeah, I fought an alien. I've been to space. And then they're all like, oh, that's crazy. And then Andrew Garfield's like, man, I want to fight an alien. And I think we'll see that. I think Andrew Garfield is the Spider-Man in the Morbius and Venom verse.
Ooh,
That would be cool.
Now I'd be so down. I would be so
That'd be
down
cool.
for that.
Because those movies have the same tone as The Amazing Spider-Man.
I agree.
That'd be
I see where you're. Okay, that is a great idea. I would love that. That's the best, like, total, like, way
Take.
out there take that we've had so
a
far.
cool shot
That
to
would be
call.
fucking sweet. Also because I mean, we should definitely do this again when we do Morbius, because that movie looks like a goddamn train wreck. But one that I'm excited for. Michael Morbius. Come on, are you not familiar with Michael Morbius?
You don't know Morbius?
The plasma-sucking vampire?
The living vampire?
What?
Played by
He's
Jared Leto?
a Spider-Man villain that was popularized, I want to say, primarily by the mid-90s cartoon.
Yeah.
Because there's like a 6 or 7 episode arc in the animated show that features him that's really compelling.
Yeah,
because he ends up helping out Spider-Man, because Spider-Man ends up kind of getting mutated into Man-Spider, and then he ends up helping out or whatever.
I didn't really watch any of the cartoons or the animated
Well, it's fine.
series,
Morbius, it doesn't matter. Morbius is the new
He's a vampire.
Sony Venomverse movie that's coming out.
Yes.
And without
which also seems to include Michael Keaton's Vulture.
which doesn't make any sense, especially now. But
No,
it'll be very
not
scary
at
to
all.
see how it
in this
works.
movie, but he never
Well, I
did.
mean, technically, since this movie comes out, that movie will come out after Spider-Man. This could hypothetically take place in Tom Holland's continuity and just not be connected to the MCU, but that would be really fucked up. So
That's kind of what I assumed based on the trailer because Michael Keaton was in
But-
it. But
So
Oh,
this
no,
isn't a
man.
trailer.
Who
This
knows?
isn't a spoiler. But there is
Well, it could be the same thing. Sorry, thought just came. J. Jonah Jameson is the same person,
Sure.
ish. You know, I mean, the same actor. So
True.
maybe they're doing that
True.
same idea.
That's
where
what I'm
it's like,
thinking. That's
maybe.
what I'm
But
thinking.
anyways,
You know what?
continue
That's
your thought,
precedent
Ryan.
Yeah,
for it.
sorry.
But there, in like one throwaway shot in the Morbius trailer, you see a poster that has the picture of Spider-Man and it says murderer on it,
yeah, it does.
and it looks like the Amazing Spider-Man version of it. I think.
Cool. That would be sweet.
It
I would
looks like
love to
that,
see
or
more of him.
the Tobey Maguire. It's a very
Well, and of
hard
course, in the
look.
continuity of Tom Holland, the world still does think he's a murderer.
Also potentially in the continuity of the Amazing Spider-Man now, because he stopped pulling his punches.
Sure,
He could also be
yeah,
a murderer.
he could
So,
also
like,
be a murderer.
Yeah,
That's
he could've-
true.
he
You make a
could've
good
broke.
point.
He could have broke after Gwen.
Yeah, no, you make a good point. I like where your
I'm
head's at.
suddenly excited for Morbius.
And
right.
yes, me too, in a bizarre way.
So one of the biggest things that this is just going to be one of those plot holes that we're going to say, fuck it, who cares? But in deleting Peter Parker, he could just show his connection through Spider-Man. I mean, we saw it through Happy. Oh, I know him through Spider-Man. Oh, you know Spider-Man? Cool,
I was thinking
do
that
too.
same thing.
And why
you
don't
know,
you just say,
yeah.
I am Spider-Man? What? And then you do the whole thing and they're like, oh, you're Spider-Man. So then all of those memories of Spider-Man then connect to Peter Parker and now you know. And then you have Ned
only solve
and
half of it,
MJ.
though.
Yes, it would only solve half of it, but it would be the best way to connect to everybody
Well,
again
I'm
and
sure
be
that's
like,
how-
I am Spider-Man.
I'm sure that's how it will happen.
Sure.
But the other
I was
thing,
just saying
too,
that like,
is with those relationships, because he has all the knowledge of them, but they don't know anything about him outside of like, oh, Spider-Man and all the memories they've had with him, it'd be a very one-sided relationship, and so it'd be a very imbalanced thing, and it wouldn't work, and I think that's part of why he decided not to, and let
Sure.
it happen naturally if it does.
Well,
I
especially
think-
with
I
them
think-
going off to MIT and him staying in New York,
Sure.
it seems to me that they're
He-
kind of letting that go.
he wanted to keep them safe.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
how
that was
I
the
read it,
main
is he's
thing
letting
that he
yeah.
them go. So
That
he
was
doesn't
like,
put him
that
in
was the
danger.
reason why he
Yeah.
did it in the very end.
And that there's a
I mean-
possibility that we don't see these characters again.
I think we will. I don't
You
think
think
they're
so?
going to delete them that quick. Yeah.
Well, I don't,
it'll
not
be-
that they'd be deleted, but just that they go off to MIT. They don't know who Peter Parker is, and Peter Parker's still in New York, so he's just doing his spider thing.
Sure.
But it leaves them open-ended to come back when they feel
Yeah.
like it.
Well, and we could always get the Mary Jane Watson. We could always get the Gwen Stacy. It
Gwen
opens
Stacy
up a
is
lot
probably
of
the
cool.
next. I think Gwen is going to be the next one because
Angles.
Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man was like, oh, I lost Gwen, which was my MJ. And then he's going to meet Gwen and he's going to be like, huh. I think that might be. Anyways.
Well, because that's when he
regardless.
actually meets Gwen. He doesn't meet Gwen until college, so.
Sure.
Yeah.
Usually.
Which,
So anyways.
talking about the ending of the movie, though, with how everybody forgets him, period. Like, that is
So lonely.
so
And he-
lonely.
And he has a GED
Yeah,
study
GED.
book because
I saw
he didn't
that too.
graduate from high school because
Yeah.
nobody fucking knows who he is.
Rough. Fucking rough.
But what's interesting, too, is they could handle his relationship with Flash in an interesting way.
Yeah.
If Flash
Yeah.
comes back, is they could just get to know each other as friends. Or
Yeah. Well, and he can still be jealous of Spider-Man. That doesn't have to go away.
no.
Because we didn't forget about Spider-Man, just who Spider-Man is. And he didn't know who Spider-Man was for a long time anyway.
Yeah.
He only figured it out once it was broadcast by J. Jonah Jameson. Which, okay, the only other part of the movie that I wished we had is a moment where Tobey Maguire's like, wait,
you got one
he's
too.
here?
Yeah,
It's
that's
the
the
same.
same-
It's the same
Yeah.
guy?
yeah.
Why is yours Alex Jones?
Yeah.
Right.
That'd have been really cool.
That's so funny.
Do y'all think that Hawkeye takes place in post Peter Parker world?
That's what I was talking about. Just this past episode. I mean, I'm not going to go into any spoilers because, Zach,
do they
you
actually
haven't
address
seen
it? Because I just guessed.
It's not in that sense. No.
Okay.
I'll say it. Like
it's only because it's in New York that it's really
so that's what I was thinking,
that I was thinking about that.
They're all
I'm not
going to
say any spoilers just as a tag.
Where the fuck is Spider-Man?
Well, technically, regardless of whether or not it happens before or after, it doesn't matter. The effect would be the same.
Which he would. But they do reference the new Statue of Liberty.
That's what I was going to say.
Statue of Liberty.
Sure. Okay, interesting.
That's the only time that they ever say anything about and that's what made me think.
Here's what I want to say, and what I'm really excited about is the finale of Hawkeye takes place in that square with the ice rink and the big Christmas tree, right? I can't think what it's called.
Rockefeller Plaza.
Yeah, it takes place right there. And where
We
does
saw it
Spider-Man
multiple
swing
times.
by at the very end of his movie?
Right there.
What
Sure
time of
fucking
year
does.
is
He
it during that
lives
movie?
right there. Christmas, baby.
Christmas time. Same time.
If
It's
he
so cool at the end
shows
of
up,
Hawkeye.
if he shows
swing
up,
by.
if he shows up in Hawkeye, 10 out of 10.
I think
he's going to.
I think the only
I gotta catch up
way
on
he's gonna
it.
show up is a swing by.
Okay.
But that would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be
No,
cool.
I think.
Well,
I think
especially
they're
if we
gonna show
could
up.
get Kingpin, Spider-Man closer together.
That'd be pretty
Please,
cool.
can we please?
Honestly,
I mean,
I'd be happy if that was the next
Yes.
Spider-Man movie. That'd be cool. Having Daredevil and Kingpin in the next Spider-Man movie, that'd be
It
cool.
sounds like they're going to be localizing Spider-Man, especially the way that he's in that grungy apartment. Like that just screams Spider-Man.
Well, yeah, that's
like,
OG. That's
Focus
classic
on
shit.
the
same
New York.
apartment he's had in every movie and
Yes.
I know.
video game.
It looks
I think
exactly like the
Yes.
Tobey Maguire.
It looks like the video game
Yeah.
is exactly my
And that
first
too,
thought.
yeah.
Especially because you see that him getting evicted like is the first scene of the
Yeah.
game too.
So, is there anything else that we want to talk about with Spider-Man?
No, it's fucking
mean, it
sweet.
was
I'm
fucking
gonna see it
great.
again.
It's good.
I
Spider-Man
don't.
good.
If only going to the movies didn't cost so much. I probably
Honestly,
would
What
have
about
seen it already.
Ned?
But
What about Ned getting some magic powers?
Oh, yeah,
That was
Ned's
fucking
magic.
sweet. I
But he
love
won't
how
be a
like
supervillain,
he was able
so
to
he's
open it, but then he couldn't close it. And I was thinking about that, like when he was opening up for Spider-Man, and they were like running towards him. He's like, he couldn't close it, and I was like, what if? And then
it
sure
was
enough.
it was a clever way to solve some plotting issues.
Sure, definitely.
I've never been super hype on that character. But again, I didn't see Homecoming.
Oh shit,
though.
that's another reason why they'll see Ned. There's no way that they're just gonna forget about. Oh well, I guess. Does Doctor Strange would know that Ned has powers, right?
No, well,
believe that memory.
here's the thing. They know everything that happened in that final act. They know that they helped
Right.
something. They just don't know that what
Spider-Man.
they
helped
just don't know who he
Spider-Man.
is. They probably just don't have the details. They know that they helped him. They know, so they have all those memories.
Magic
still.
Ned.
But
Yeah.
what I was thinking though is it's one of the other funny lines in there is like just how awkward he is towards him. It's like, hey, I'm not gonna become a supervillain.
Well,
Yeah.
and isn't there sort of like a meta thing to that too, where the name that he has is also the name of a character that was presumed to be the Hobgoblin.
So yes
in
and no. So
the original run of Spider-Man, but he actually wasn't the Hobgoblin.
Correct.
It's just who people thought was the Hobgoblin.
Correct.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well,
It would
I
be
thought it
cool
was
if
a
he
great
was
movie.
weirdly tortured by these half memories of Spider-Man and thinking there's more to it and
Ooh,
finding
that
some like
screws him up.
old Green Goblin stuff and then like going from there
He's
with
going to
it. Like,
MIT.
that could be cool. Exactly. I mean,
true. And he's learning
it's not
magic.
outside of the realm of possibility.
And
this
that
could
would
happen,
screw
but
him up.
Hobgoblin.
that would screw him up. Like
It'd be hard
Peter
for Peter
Parker,
too. Yeah. So yeah, anyway, there are so many cool things
Call
they
us
could do.
Marvel, we got
I
ideas.
have complete faith in them. The movie was excellent.
It was very, very good.
yeah, I think overall,
For us
Fantastic.
super fans, for people who have seen all those movies multiple times across the years, except for actually, I haven't seen Spider-Man 3. I'll also say that's the other one I haven't seen.
it,
That movie's a fucking trip.
it is.
honestly,
it is.
I loved Spider-Man 3 when it came out in 2007
Same.
because that was the first. I had the same feeling I did during the finale of this movie because him and Harry Osborn team up in that movie,
Yeah.
and it's such a cool that was the first time you had a cool superhero team up.
Sure.
And
And I mean, like, I've
wanted more of
seen
that.
clips and I've read
Sure. You know the
reviews. So, like, I
meme.
know everything that
Everybody
happens.
knows about Bully Maguire.
I just like Venom.
You got to watch it for the memes at least, just for that.
yeah. Anyway,
All right.
I have a lot of faith. It's I'm
Spider-Man
excited.
good.
I'm excited for where Spider-Man goes next.
I'm also
I
excited.
definitely. Yeah. I think what Ryan said earlier with Tom Holland becoming the favorite Spider-Man, I think this is really going to show that side of Spider-Man that you really want, Ryan.
Yeah,
And
hopefully.
Daniel,
yeah.
I think you kind of agreed with that.
Which
but
also
I know
the
that you
most-
and I agree with Andrew Garfield.
Yeah,
The reason why-
the Spider-Man he is now is my favorite version.
The reason why the Spider-Man PlayStation 4 game is so good and why that Spider-Man is so good is because he is a mature Spider-Man. He is an experienced Spider-Man
Mhm.
living a really shitty life.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
is they
Good
nail
dude,
that.
bad circumstances.
Yeah, due to circumstances. Like, anyways, that's why I think this is gonna be the best thing. Is because Spider-Man is most interesting in college, and all of the trilogies, all the past Spider-Man movies have really done is high school age Spider-Man. I mean,
Yeah.
kind of like Tobey
Well,
Maguire
Tobey
has
Maguire's,
a little bit
yeah,
of an adult
starts
life.
off and then goes.
And
yeah.
Andrew Garfield in the second one, I can't remember what he's doing, but I feel like he's a little bit more in the real world.
barely. It's
barely, yeah.
because it starts off
Into
with their
college,
graduation,
yeah.
so like
Right,
it's still
right.
Yeah.
still barely into
Yeah.
his
The
life.
exact same thing that we got with Tobey Maguire.
and
basically.
exactly where we left off right now with Tom Holland.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
now we're actually gonna get
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, hopefully Tom Holland can lock that down because the Uncharted movie, I'm not excited about.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they did announce
well-
the trilogy, so granted that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be Tom Holland though, because they could
Yeah.
introduce Miles Morales in this trilogy. And honestly,
I hope they do.
I'd be
They
fine with
will.
it.
Jamie
I'm sure-
Foxx
I'm sure
basically
they
like
Yeah,
almost
no,
name
solid-
drops
solidified
himself.
it.
I hope
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't happen though until like at least the second one in the trilogy, or the
Trilogy
last one,
of.
because they've already announced they're making it. The Spider-Man Tom Holland's already getting another trilogy, or in
Oh,
the MCU.
great.
They've already announced that.
Yes, yeah, they have. Yep.
So I'm hoping that, like I said,
Yeah, I
we
think-
at least get one really good Tom Holland Spider-Man movie.
I think it's going to
between
be
them.
Tom Holland and Venom, and then it's going to go reveal Miles Morales.
Honestly, no, I don't. I hope they don't do
Morbius.
Venom. I hope they don't do Venom in one movie. I hope it's over the course of the movie, the trilogy.
That'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
Well,
It
yeah,
would be
because he
cool.
doesn't, because he lives. He's not like a super duper villain. He's like he kind of is like an anti-hero at one point, right? I mean, especially in his own.
Well,
mode.
yeah, I mean, he wears the suit for a
I'm talking
while.
about Spider-Man itself. I'm hoping that when he gets the black suit, he
Yeah.
has it for a whole movie, and it's not until
Yeah,
the end of the
Black Suit
trilogy that,
movie.
like, I think the
That'd be
conclusion
cool.
of this
It'd be
next
cool
trilogy
if there
would
was
be
a full
Venom.
movie of him with the. It'd be cool if there was a
Symbiote.
full movie of him with the symbiote.
I'd be
That'd
down.
be cool.
I'd be very down.
Anyways, so
Yeah.
that yeah,
mega,
that's
mega long dump on
that was.
Spider-Man.
Thank you for listening to the very end of this. You guys are awesome.
A little bit all over the place.
I know it was,
But
but
you're just
I mean,
as
it was
excited
good- it
about
was good
Spider-Man as we
discussion.
are, so you love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you all for listening. If you want to listen more, go for it. We have more episodes. If you like what you heard, if you have any other topics or ideas or anything like that, you can find us on most social media platforms at TalkingXP. And make sure to level up, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.